Tony Perez Day, a special event honoring Cincinnati Reds star Tony Perez and his 22 years in the major leagues. Brought to you by Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by your Toyota dealer and the new 4x4 gas turbo truck. More power and more off-road performance. Who could ask for anything more?
For 23 seasons, he has called Major League Baseball his home. For 16 of those seasons, he has spent them right here in Cincinnati. Today, the city of Cincinnati pays tribute to Tony Perez with Tony Perez Day. He has given Cincinnati plenty of memories, 2 World Championships, 4 World Series, and he has the Hall of Fame numbers, 378 home runs, 1,638 RBIs. But even more than the numbers, there is Tony Perez, the man with the quick smile, with a charming personality, a man who came years ago from his native land, Cuba, and said to Cincinnati, "I love you." Today, that city says, "I love you" back to Tony Perez. We begin our ceremonies of Tony Perez, a man who has had a very, very busy Sunday morning. He met with the city, a toast by the mayor himself, on to lunch with his lawyer, Reuven Katz. And intertwined in it all, he was able to meet with the voice of the Cincinnati Reds, Marty Brennaman, with a look back at Tony Perez and his past.
Tony, what do you think about all this business today? I mean, for a guy who 26 years ago broke into Geneva, New York, a Cuban, straight out of your native country, could speak a minimum of English, and now today they're doing something here at this ballpark they've done for one other player. How do you feel about it?
It feels great, Marty. I mean, I never thought it gonna be, on this, gonna be this day. I mean, when I started in Geneva, New York, in 1960. That's 26 years ago, like you said.
It's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time, and well, it's I think the way my career been going and the way I play. For so many years for Cincinnati, for the Cincinnati Reds and this town, the way the people here treated me all over this year, me and my family, I think I'm not surprised anything happened because I went away for 7 years, and when I came back as I suppose, I know you remember when they gave me that standing ovation and the work, and I think no player receive that kind of ovation when they come back with another ball club, and that's something special. And really, it's something special about the Cincinnati people and the Cincinnati fans and me. I don't know, but it's a lot of things really going together.
People have asked me, what do you remember most about Tony Perez as a player? And I can remember vividly 3 things. 1, the home run you hit off Catfish Hunter in the '67 All-Star game that gave the National League the win in the 15th inning. I remember that because I was broadcasting an American Legion baseball game in Charlotte, North Carolina. A home run you hit off of Randy Moffett in the 9th inning of the first game of a doubleheader here in 1974, 2-run home run straightaway center with bench on because it capped off a 5-run 9th inning and you guys win 14-13. And then the home run you hit off Bill Lee in the 7th game of the World Series at Fenway Park in '75. That home run off of Lee and the famed blooper pitch seemed to be the thing that turned everything around in that series because the Reds were on the ropes in that game.
He's right. I think to the 6th game in the World Series, the Red Sox they're gonna beat us. I mean, sound like we're gonna, or look like we're gonna lose another World Series because we already lose one in '70 and '72. But with the Red Sox ahead 3-0, and the way Lee was pitching, keep everything away, and so I'm glad he made the mistake and threw me that blooper pitch, and then I hit it out, and we're right back in the game.
How can you expect a pitch like that? It was a pitch that had given him a measure of success when he had used it over the course of that '75 season. Can you go up looking for a pitch like that, an off-speed pitch?
Well, I wasn't looking for that pitch, especially, Marty, in that situation. I it was back here in back of my mind because he threw me that pitch before. When he pitched the first game he pitched us against here in Riverfront, he threw me one and bouncing. It was very embarrassing, because, a lot of people watching and full house here in the stadium. And, it was a little embarrassing when I swing that pitch and I hit the ground. And then he threw me another one that game. In the seventh game, he threw me another one. I took it for a strike. And then I know the movement, I know what he do to throw that pitch, and I was ready. When he stopped, with his right leg, when he stopped, I know what's coming. And then I know what's coming, and I just wait good on it.
Tony, how were the years being away from here? You were dealt over to Montreal after the '76 season in a move that a lot of us felt was not the best decision in the world. You had some good years with the Expos. You had a great year with Boston after going to the Red Sox. And then, of course, in '83, you go to Philadelphia. You were part of a World Series team. But what about those years being away from Cincinnati? Was it different for you?
Yeah, it was different. I mean, it was in Montreal. They treated me good. The fans were nice to me, like in Boston and Philadelphia, but it's nothing like play with for the Cincinnati Reds. I mean, here in Cincinnati, so many years, 12 straight years with a lot of playoff, World Series, and especially my teammate, play with Pete and Bench, Concepcion, Foster. You had guys you more close to him, and that was my situation. And in the other cities it was all right with me, but not the best thing that happened to me, Marty. No matter what the years I have in Montreal or Boston and Philadelphia that year, where I got together with Pete and Joe again. I mean, that was fun, really fun. I think one of my best years, away from here because we went to the World Series. But nothing like a comeback here. I mean, when I got back here in '84, that was the best thing that ever happened to me, really.
You have been blessed with a kind of career, unlike most players, where I'm sure the memories are almost too numerous to mention. Is there any one thing that stands out about the years that you've spent with this franchise that maybe puts everything else in a secondary position? Does one thing stand out in your mind as being #1 about playing in this town?
Well, really, I don't know. Everything, every year in here was a good year. I mean, I having everything. I playing and dropping my runs and things like that, Marty. And and the way we were playing during the '70s, I think nothing is secondary. Playing for the
right.
I mean, everything was first. I mean, and I very enjoy every year my career. And I think my career was here in Cincinnati, no matter whatever I got away for 7 years or not. And that's the way I feel.
What would Tony Perez like to be remembered most for? I'm talking about from the fans. I'm talking about from the players. Everybody you've come in contact with as a member of the Cincinnati Reds. From the very beginning, is there one thing that you would most like to leave in terms of how people viewed you as a player?
Well, you can see I still going out there, Marty, with a man in scoring position and things like that, and you see the reaction of the people, the fans. They want me to drop in that run. And I think Tony Perez is the man. I know I hit 368 or 69 home runs, whatever. But I think everybody will remember Tony as the guy who come up in the clutch. I mean, the RBI man.
Right.
I think everybody... I think nobody look at Tony and say, yeah, he's a good glove man or anything like that. He hit 300 or whatever.
Stole a lot of bases.
Right, I stole a lot of bases, nothing like that. They mention another guys for that, Joe Morgan or Pete for 300 and batting champion. But Tony Perez, I think, is going to be for the guy who drove in the run and the leadership, on the ball club. The guy who joke around and kidding around, but the guy who everybody look. I mean, for my teammate, I think I'm going to be that way. For the fans, the guy who drove in the run, drove in a lot of RBI. I mean, the RBI man.
Tony, we would hope that today is everything you want it to be for you and Physioc and the boys, and we just are very thankful for all the memories that you've given us.
Thank you, Marty. I think this day today is going to be something I never forget. I'm never going to forget my family, Physioc, my 2 kids, Victor and Eduardo, myself, all these years in Cincinnati. I don't know. I I'm all right now, but I don't know in a few minutes how I'm going to react over there, because it's going to be I know going to be a lot of people, a lot of good fans, and a lot of other things, and I will be thankful.
Thank you, Tony Perez, and thank you, Marty Brennaman. He is a gentleman that Marty and Joe, who have for years called the mayor of Riverfront. He indeed will be the mayor of Riverfront on his special day. We'll be back with more of a tribute to Tony Perez at Riverfront Stadium after these words. We continue our Tony Perez Day ceremonies here at Riverfront Stadium. If there is a mayor of Riverfront, of course, it is Tony Perez. But if there is a princess of the Perez family, it is his wife, Physioc Perez. Physioc, I saw the Cincinnati Enquirer article this morning. They had an entire section on the whole family. I know you have to be delighted about this special day.
We feel very happy. And I don't know why they are doing this, but we feel so proud, so happy that there is not any word to describe, to say thank you very much.
You know, I was talking to Tony earlier this week. He said a lot of wives want their husbands to leave baseball, but not Physioc. He says she will really miss it. Why?
Yes, I enjoy every minute of this, every minute.
Why is that? Because, you know, your husband is on the road so very often.
But it's easy. Even by telephone, he takes care every day of us. So it's been a wonderful life.
You know, I was reading about the time that you guys met. Could you tell me about that? Because it was your family meeting, actually.
Was Jose Martinez. He's the first baseman coach for Kansas City. And he was a very good friend of ours in Cuba. So he came to visit my family. Tony was his roomie for the winter ball. He bring Tony one Monday, October 1964, and we got married in 4 months, February 20, 1965.
But you sent a little note out to try and find out if he was married or single.
Oh, I give 25 cents to my cousin. Can you find for me? He's married or single. So he came where I was in the kitchen. He said, are you the one that was looking for my status?
Were you blushing then?
Oh, my Lord.
What has it been like, because the two sons, Eduardo and Victor, and you've really raised them in beautiful fashion, and you have been kind of the rock of Gibraltar there?
It's been great. It has been very easy. I had to thank to my Lord, because everything has been so smooth, so easy.
Is this a special day for you as well as Tony?
So special that if you take my blood pressure, it's so high.
And you know, the boys had to come from out of town. Could you tell us about Eduardo and Victor and where they came from?
Victor is at the University of Pennsylvania, and Eduardo is in Miami, Florida, in a very good school too.
And I understand it's a good baseball school.
Yes, the Cincinnati, Mrs. Schott invited them, to come over. So, and my father from San Juan is about 42 people from Puerto Rico, New York, Miami.
One thing Tony did tell me, he said not only is it going to be difficult to be able to break away from baseball for myself, but he says it will be for Physioc. He says she really loves Cincinnati very much, and she just can't go back to Cuba and just stay there.
To Puerto Rico, do you mean?
Puerto Rico.
Yes, we are from Cuba, but we live in the winter Puerto Rico. Yes, we are going to miss this. It's nice. It's terrific. I don't know how to say in this moment, but there is not enough word to say. Muchas gracias, amigos.
This city really does love this family, and you have returned that.
Well, Victor and Eduardo, they born here, so what more I can say? Cincinnati always will be in our heart.
I asked Tony the other day about when Victor and Eduardo have grandchildren, and Tony is sitting them on their knee, and Physioc has another grandchild on his knee. What would you tell them about your past memories? And is there any one moment that may stand out more than the others?
Steve, I don't know what is going to happen. I don't know who can answer that question. But for sure, they are going to see beautiful pictures, beautiful memories. And I know that they are going to learn to love Cincinnati.
You'll never have baseball out of your system, will you? Physioc, I know you have to go. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias.
Physioc Perez, a lovely wife of Cincinnati's Tony Perez, as we get set to join Marty Brennaman and Joe Nuxall out at the podium. Let's try and go to them now.
Our host today, as we salute one of the greatest and certainly most popular players in the long and legendary history of Cincinnati Reds baseball.
Pleasure of being a teammate of Tony Perez in the 60s and at the end of my playing career. And since moving into the broadcast booth, I've had a good fortune to watch Tony play such big part in the success of the Big Red Machine in the 1970s, and now see him close out his great career here in the 80s. And today we're here to honor Tony Perez. Now, our guest of honor, the big dog, Tony Perez.
Now joining Tony on stage are the three most important people in his life. His lovely wife, Physioc, and their sons, Victor and Eduardo. And joining the Perez family from the Reds family, Reds President Marty and Executive Vice President and General Manager of the Cincinnati Reds, Bill Burgish. How in the world did you have such a good-looking family?
Tony is well respected throughout baseball by his teammates as well as his opponents. One former teammate who could not be with us this afternoon, a special message for Tony from California.
Hi, this is Joe Morgan. I would like to say a few special words to my ex-teammate Tony Perez. Tony, special players come along every 20 or 30 years in this game, and they have a special place for those players. It is called Cooperstown. Tony, you are a special player, and therefore you will be in Cooperstown one day. Tony, you're the best clutch hitter I ever saw, and you're also a great leader. The only reason you were not an MVP during our glory years like Rose, Bench, and myself was because you were a quiet leader and you never wanted to talk about yourself to the press. When I choose the greatest players I ever played with or against, Tony Perez, you're always on the team. Tony, congratulations on your big day.
Joe Morgan, former Reds great second baseman. You know, Tony has always been the ideal player to have on a ball club, on any ball club. The managers he has played for will certainly tell you that. One man, Dave Bristol, managed Tony on 2 minor league teams in the Reds farm system, and later managed Tony and the Reds here in Cincinnati. He's with us today from his home in Andrews, North Carolina, former Reds manager Dave Bristol. Dave, how about this guy, Tony Perez?
Well, the only thing I'd like to say about Tony Perez, it was an honor to manage him. He's a great person, and he's got a great family. And the best thing I could say about him, the worst he's ever been is wonderful.
Another former manager of Tony's is Sparky Anderson, and Sparky has this message for Tony.
Well, Tony, first of all, I want to congratulate you on your day, and it's going to be a tremendous day, and it should be rightfully so, because you've been a tremendous part of the Cincinnati Reds in their history. I am very proud to say that I spent 7 years with you. My biggest mistake, I think, ever in baseball, and I've made a lot of them, is the fact that I was part of the trade that sent you to Montreal. That I'll never forgive myself for. I apologize again. I told you in Patuca in Boston that was a terrible mistake that I made, and again, I apologize for the last time. It's been a treat for me to have been around you for 7 years, that I was there at Cincinnati with you. I can only say this: I am a better person for it and a better manager for it. Tony Perez is one of the people that came in this business, gave and never stole. You are a tremendous human being, and your family, Eduardo and Victor and Patuca, your wife, can be so proud that they are part of Tony Perez, and Tony Perez can be so proud of what he has done in this game of baseball and what you've done as a person. I congratulate you, Tony, and I only wish I could be there, because you're one of my real treats since I've managed. God bless you.
Sparky Anderson. Among Tony's many great accomplishments are his 378 career home runs, only one behind Orlando Cepeda's all-time major league record for Latin American players. Tony has always been a role model for aspiring young Latin American athletes, and here to present him with a plaque from the Pan American Society, two gentlemen, Joseph Nava and Rafael Munoz. Gentlemen.
En nombre de todos los latinos de las Américas, para nuestro hermano Tony Pérez, reconociendo tus esfuerzos durante una ilustre carrera, Sociedad Panamericana de Cincinnati, José Luis Nava, presidente.
In the name of all the Latin American and all of the Americas, to our dear brother, Tony Perez, recognizing your illustrious career, Pan American Society of Cincinnati. Un abrazo. Gracias.
Our next guest, like Tony, is a surefire future Hall of Famer. It was only a few years ago, on a night in September, that he, like Tony Perez, was honored here by you fans and the Reds at Riverfront Stadium. He needs no more introduction than simply saying number 5, Johnny Bench.
Thank you very much, Marty. It's a pleasure to be here for one of the finest people, one of the finest ball players that any person could ever play with or be associated with. Tony Perez was a friend. Tony was a brother. He was probably one of the greatest clutch hitters in all of baseball that I have had the pleasure of seeing. It is an honor to be with him today to share this great moment one that has been created by just tremendous play over the past, 35 years? We were trying to figure out a real actual age for Tony. We could not do that. But we know he's somewhere between Pete Rose and Happy Chandler. I'm happy for Tony that he was able to come back to Cincinnati to let you share with him your feelings of such a great career. It is a sad day for the fans to see Tony leave the game of baseball. But it is a happy day for his family and myself because I know that he's going on to even happier things. Hopefully Tony will stay around this area and help the ball club with his expertise and knowledge. But so Tony that will know that we do care and love him, let him know that whatever he wants from us from this day on here in Cincinnati, just make sure that he knows we will share it with him. It is a great day, one that we are all proud of, and I love Tony Perez.
There have been numerous requests to make individual presentations to Tony, proof of the respect and the admiration of Tony Perez. He has earned that throughout his career. The next portion of our program will highlight some of these many honors. First, we'd like to call Gene Wunker from the Rosie Reds up to make a special presentation. Gene?
Tony, the Rosie Reds are proud to present scholarships to the University of Cincinnati, Dayton, Miami, Northern Kentucky, Thomas More, and Xavier in your honor. And we thank you for the honors you have given us.
Thank you. Presentation to Tony will be made by the Reds Executive Vice President and General Manager, Bill Burgish. Bill?
Tony, you've got a few base hits in your career, and so from your friends at Hillerich and Bradsby, manufacturers of the famous Louisville Slugger baseball bat, they want to give you this plaque, which at the end of the season, when all your records have been complete, will be suitably inscribed, detailing all the great records that you've accomplished in the game of baseball over the years. I want to add my congratulations, my best wishes to you, and I want to add my hope to what Johnny Bench just said, that you will always remain a member of the Cincinnati Reds.
Thank you, Bill. And next we're going to introduce a gentleman that watched an awful lot of Tony Perez's career, now representing the Cincinnati chapter of the Baseball Writers Association of America, Earl Lawson. And Earl with a presentation to Tony.
Tony, it's pretty hard to decide upon something for a guy who has everything, like a lovely wife, 2 handsome sons, and Hall of Fame statistics. But even though we know you're going to handle the retirement as easily as one of Joe Nuxoff's batting practice pitches, there may be a time when you get a little down in the dumps. So on behalf of the writers, I'd like to present you with a little gift down here, which is a little too heavy for an old man like me to lift, so you can get your boys to tote it home for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Earl Lawson.
Tony's contribution to Reds baseball goes far beyond the playing field. He's been an outstanding representative of the entire greater Cincinnati community. It's my pleasure, on behalf of the Greater Cincinnati Convention and Visitors Bureau, to present Tony with a special citation proclaiming him as a Cincinnati ambassador. Tony. And now I'm pleased to introduce a man we spoke of earlier today. He holds the record for home runs by a Latin American ball player with 379, something Tony's going to be shooting at today. And we're very happy to have him here. A very close friend of Tony's. Please welcome a man referred to as a baby bull, Orlando Cepeda.
Very much. Tony, on behalf of Tuabaja, Puerto Rico, and myself, it's an honor for me to be here today because you are a wonderful guy, you're a great ball player, and you deserve everything. I love you, Tony.
The next gentleman is a great baseball fan and a great Tony Perez fan. Former baseball commissioner and governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and representing the Kentucky governor, Miss Martha Lane Collins, to present Tony with, how about this? Kentucky. Oh, AB is coming. Happy. I didn't know you were coming, partner. Happy Chandler. There you are, partner.
70 years have passed since I first came to the baseball game in Cincinnati. It's my belief that the 1975 and 76 teams, of which Tony and Johnny Bench and Pete Rose and Joe Morgan were on, was perhaps the greatest team in the history of American baseball. I've known Tony Perez since he was a little boy. And Governor Martha Lane Collins of Kentucky has authorized me to come on this day and present Tony and his lovely bride with colonel's commissions on the staff of the governor of Kentucky. I don't know what trouble she thinks she may have in the future, but she can rely on Tony and his bride to be subject to call in defense of Kentucky as long as they live. Thank you very much, Tony, Colonel Tony, and your bride.
Thanks, Al. Happy Chandler, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Tony Perez Day, not only here at Riverfront Stadium, but also in the city of Cincinnati and the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico. On behalf of Puerto Rican Governor Rafael Hernandez Colon, I am pleased to introduce John Trifoletti, representing the government of Puerto Rico. Mr. Trifoletti.
Thank you. I am very honored today to represent the governor of Puerto Rico, the Honorable Rafael Hernandez Colon, in such a historic moment for Tony Perez. In Puerto Rico, we know Tony as Tani, so I will address the governor's message to Tani. Tani Perez has made his home in Puerto Rico for almost 30 years. To Puerto Rican fans, Tani Perez is a symbol of the dedication and hard work that will leave a mark in Major League Baseball, along with records established by superstars like Roberto Clemente, Orlando Cepeda, Irán Bithorn, Luis Rodriguez Olmo, and others. Today, Tony Perez Day, the people of Puerto Rico join the Cincinnati Reds, the local sports authorities, and the fans here in honoring Tony Perez and his family, members of what we call our extended Puerto Rican family. September 21 in Puerto Rico is Tony Perez Day. Thank you.
And here to present a proclamation on behalf of the city of Cincinnati is Mayor Charlie Lucan. Charlie?
Marty, it is nice to present two things, to a personal hero of mine and to a real Cincinnati hero. The first is the official proclamation that makes today Tony Perez Day in the city of Cincinnati. And the second is a key to the city of Cincinnati that says, no matter where you are or what you do, your home is right here in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Tony, it's been a big pleasure for me over these years to play baseball with you and be in the broadcast booth through those great years in the 70s and certainly your great career. And this next guy I'm going to introduce, after I do so, I got to go up there where it says Reds Radio Network and go to work, partner. But now representing your teammates, your oldest son to make a, well, I mean, not your oldest son, but Davey Concepcion to make a presentation in behalf of your teammates. Tony, good luck.
And the entire ball club. Tony referred to Davey as my Davey. Come up here, David.
I might have to speak in Spanish because my English is not that well. But it's my pleasure, Tony, to be here. I'm very happy for this day and be around you all those years. You also make me a better ball player. And those years I've been with the Cincinnati Reds. And on behalf of your teammates, I'd like to present you and your wife, Petuca, a first-class round-trip ticket to Spain. I hope we all know you're going to enjoy it. We love you, Tony.
Well, what I can say, all my teammates come over here and give me a triple's pay. I think they want to get rid of me. This you guys want to get rid of me, send me so far away. Well, thank you guys, and my pleasure to be playing with you guys all this year. Pete, I can say anything about you. You know, you've been wonderful. You've been wonderful to me. I think you what even what you say in Asia, you've been an inspiration to me because the way you play the game expo. And you guys, thank you. Love you all.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, here to make our final presentation to Tony, on behalf of the entire Reds organization, here's Reds President Marge Schott. Marge.
I am here
Cincinnati Reds, and I also am here representing all of you fans in the stands. I know, as it says, we love Doggie up there. It also says, Doggie, don't go. So we'll see. But all of us have had the pleasure here in Cincinnati to watch one of the greatest players, I think, that has been in baseball. But another thing that I think is the most important thing is that Tony has been a player that everybody can respect and look up to, and he's been a wonderful example in baseball. This man is not only a player, but he is a friend. And of course, behind every great guy, there usually is a great woman, Physioc Perez. And two wonderful Perez boys. At this time, we would like to present to Physioc this tray. It says to Physioc Perez and family, Tony Perez Day, 9/21/86, the Cincinnati Reds. And Tony, don't feel bad, because this big white one's for you. Physioc likes it, so I guess we're okay. I now want to bring to the microphone the person and the reason we're all here today, the one and only Tony Perez.
one thing I'm sorry for today, and that's my daddy and my mother would like to see this ovation. But you make me remember them, and I'm very happy about it. I don't know what to say. This is something I never think is going to happen to me when I start my career back in 1960. Be up here in the middle of the field with all you great fans and my great friends and my teammates, the Los Angeles Dodgers. And really, I don't know what is that. I don't know what created this, but I feel very, very good about it. I want to thank everybody, the Los Angeles Dodgers, manager Tommy Lasorda, and all the players to be here with me, my teammates, the Cincinnati Reds organization, Marchat, love you, Johnny, Pete, all my teammates, Dave Concepcion, my ex-roomie, and all my friends who come from all over, Puerto Rico, New York. Really, that made me feel, I don't know, I guess I feel like Tony Perez, I guess. And I want to thank my wife, Pituca, because she helped me all over this year. For all the years she was behind me, going good or bad. I had two wonderful kids, Victor and Eduardo, well educated. I thank God for that. Well, what can I say? Gracias, amigos. Love you, my friend. I love you. Thank you.
The festivities continue here at Riverfront Stadium prior to today's game between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Cincinnati Reds. Tony Perez taking the parade around the field in a '66 Cadillac.
Let's really hear it.
continues for Tony Perez Day here at Riverfront Stadium. A near sellout crowd expected as the Cincinnati Reds take on the LA Dodgers, and Perez will be batting number 6 in the order for Cincinnati. We'll be back with today's game after these words. An outstanding day continues here at Riverfront Stadium. Orlando Cepeda, he was honored as he came out and with a little presentation for Tony Perez. And as a matter of fact, before the ball game, Orlando Cepeda, who holds the Latin American home run record with 379, said, "I hope Tony Perez, who is one behind me, ties me this afternoon." Number 379, Tony Perez, who has been such an inspiration to all the Cincinnati children around, not simply because he is an extraordinary baseball player, but because he is an unusual and talented and gifted young man as well. Tony Perez, his day continues here in Cincinnati. The LA Dodgers against the Cincinnati Reds. We'll have the starting lineups. We'll have pregame more after these words.
This Tony Perez Day special has been brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by your Toyota dealer and the new 4x4 gas turbo truck. More power and more off-road performance. Who could ask for anything more?
It's the Los Angeles Dodgers versus the Cincinnati Reds. Today's game is brought to you by your Toyota dealer and the Toyota Celica, performance and style. Who could ask for anything more? And by Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by your best quality Ford dealers, who are offering 2.9% APR financing or $1,000 cash back. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Marty Brennaman. Welcome back to Riverfront Stadium, an afternoon that has already been packed with thrills and excitement. The honoring of one of the all-time greats in Reds baseball history. In my estimation, the most loved player in the history of this long and legendary franchise. Of course, big number 24, the big doggie, Tony Perez. The pregame ceremonies, of course, you were privileged to watch, and now it's down to business as the Reds and the Dodgers wrap up this three-game weekend series in a game that turns out to be the rubber match. 9 has been the magic number. The Dodgers come
coming from behind to win 9-7 on Friday night. And then the Reds bouncing back from a 5-0 deficit last night and went on to roll to a 9-5 win. Important victory for Cincinnati because it allows them to move back into a second-place tie with the San Francisco Giants, a 2-1 loser yesterday. Very important ball game for the Reds because after today, they've got the Giants coming into town for a 2-game series tomorrow night and Tuesday afternoon. A couple of 13-game winners are going in this game. Bill Gullickson and Oral Hershiser, two right-handers. And, of course, Gullickson will be making his fourth bid at number 14 on the season. Hopefully, that'll be a lucky number. We'll be back to chat with a man who was with Tony Perez early on in both his minor league and major league career, former Reds manager Dave Bristol. That coming up in just a moment. He's going out for this. Well, we're back at Riverfront Stadium, one of my favorite folks with us right now. And before we introduce you to him, we're going to go down on the field for the ceremonial first pitch. And it's just right and so as Tony's very lovely wife, Physioc Perez, in the process of delivering the ceremonial first pitch to her husband, Tony. And as you see, she shakes Tony off a few times. And now she's getting set to unload the pitch. And maybe a step or two close to Physioc, and that'll make it a little bit more accurate. And there it is. And Tony plays it on the hop flawlessly. Physioc Perez with a ceremonial first pitch on Tony Perez Day here at Riverfront Stadium. And I'll tell you, a lot of affection between those two folks. Make no mistake about that. With us here now in the Reds television booth, one of my favorite people, former Reds manager, and as we mentioned, Dave Bristol had Tony in Macon, Georgia in the minor leagues. And then, Dave, you had him at San Diego, where he had an unbelievable season in the Pacific Coast League, and of course managing for 3 years here in Cincinnati. Special person, I think you'll agree.
Well, I think you put it best because this guy is really loved. And an old man told me, he said, don't ever wait till a guy dies before you tell him you love him. And that's what I told Tony down on the stand. And he's meant so much to my baseball career because when you travel with him in the minor leagues and you see him when they, like we had a working agreement with Havana, and we get a lot of Cuban players from Tony Pacheco, and a lot of our scouts would sign. And Tony was real undernourished, underfed. But he had that great ability to hit a baseball and 138 pounds. And then in 1963, he didn't join us in Macon until May, the last of May, because Fidel Castro, put that quietus on about getting out of Cuba. And then we fattened him up over the winter in Charlotte, North Carolina, when he spent with some players from the Minnesota organization. And then we told him to lose weight, so we kind of confused him for a while. But in 64, he had a great year at San Diego, helped us win the pennant, then spent some little time there in 65, I think. I can't know. Lee May was there all of 65. But then we had him in 66. But I think one of the great things about Perez and Lee May, and I've told it before, in spring training in 67, we had two first basemen. And the only thing I knew what to do is just let one play 9 innings one day and 1 9 the other. And they both came out even, but the last day in Little Rock, it was Tony's day to play, and he went 4 for 4, so you got to put him in the lineup. And Lee May understood because they'd both been given a fair chance to win the job. And we'd play Lee the second game of doubleheader, and then in May, Darren Johnson got hurt, so we moved Tony over to third and Lee May at first, and everything worked out great. And this guy is just a super player, and he couldn't wait to get to the bat to win the game. I don't care how long it lasted. He sincerely meant it when he'd tell players, please get on base where I can win this game. He meant it, and he wasn't saying it for himself. He was saying it for the team.
Dave, I guess next to Pete Rose, you have probably known Tony Perez longer than anybody in this organization in all the years that you've known him. And, of course, you were with him also at Philadelphia. After he left Cincinnati, went to Montreal, moved on to Boston, and then was reunited with you and Pete and Joe with the Philadelphia Ball Club. Has Tony Perez changed any at all in your estimation?
Yeah, just for the better. He just gets better all the time, and he's just a superhuman individual. And you just hope that more players have the chance to be around him, because I'm sure that the players on the Reds, from the time he was first year, no one will ever say anything bad, and they've learned from him. And if more of them would try to be like him, they'd be better ball players.
Well, I think that pretty much sums it up, Dave. It's great to have you here. It should have been that way, that a man who was with Tony early in his career in the minor leagues, also in the big leagues, should be here today to take part in honoring him. We certainly thank you, and good luck to the old horse farmer from Anderson, North Carolina, or Andrews, I should say.
I just appreciate the Reds asked me to come, because I can think of no player who more deserved what he got and appreciates it more, and I'm just glad I could be a small part in his career.
Dave, continued success. We hope to see you next year.
Thank you, Marty. I enjoyed being here. It's always good seeing you and hearing you on Raycom in the wintertime trying to do that basketball.
Dave Bristol, who was one of many to honor Tony Perez in this special day for Tony here at Riverfront Stadium. As you see Tony warming up, he, of course, is in the starting lineup. Pete made that statement a few days ago that he would certainly have Tony at first base. And I guess everybody here in the ballpark, if they had one wish, that wish would be that Tony could hit the home run today that would tie Orlando Cepeda's all-time major league record for Latin American ball players. And I guess the optimum situation would have Tony to hit not one, but two to claim that record all to himself. But that, of course, is yet to be known as this game unfolds, this series wrap up against the Los Angeles Dodgers. You see Tony there. He got quite emotional in his speech following this presentation on the part of Reds President Marty. A crowd that appears to be in excess of 40,000 this afternoon, and we have said it a number of times. As you look at a very good crowd at the stadium on a somewhat overcast and unseasonably humid afternoon for this month of September, the Reds need this win and need it badly to assure themselves of no worse than a tie for second. As Pete has often said over the last week, if you can't finish first, you certainly want to fish second in the Western Division, and it looks like that aspect of this Western Division race may well go down to the wire. In light of the fact the Giants are playing pretty good baseball themselves at the moment, they'll be rolling in here tomorrow night. The Reds are on the field, and Steve Physioc, as usual, is all ready with the defense in the batting order. Steve?
Well, the man they are honoring today will be over at first base. Good to see Tony Perez there. At second, it's Ron Oster, Barry Larkin at shortstop, Buddy Bell at third. In the outfield has Eric Davis, Eddie Milner, and Dave Parker, with the catcher behind the plate making his first start this year, Dave Van Gorder. Bill Gullickson is on the mound. And the lineup that Bill Gullickson will face finds Steve Sachs at second base to lead things off for the LA Dodgers, to be followed by Ken Landreau, the center fielder. Then Ralph Bryant, who will be in right field. Greg Brock at first base. Franklin Stubbs will be is listed in center field. Apparently, I thought it was going to be Landreau in center. Now this shows Franklin Stubbs in center field. Jeff Hamilton will be the third base. Dave Anderson at shortstop, and Oral Hershiser is on the mound batting ninth. Gullickson trying to break a personal 3-game losing streak after winning 5 games in a row during a stretch of 9 starts from July 29th through September 2nd. Bill posted a 6-2 record with an 0.85 earned run average, but just lately he has had a little bit of difficulty. In games against Chicago, San Francisco, and Houston, he has lost all 3 of those, and it has not shown the form that we saw in August, certainly when he was named National League Pitcher of the Month, Marty.
Before we get things started, this copyrighted telecast comes to you through the courtesy of Multimedia Broadcasting, authorized under television rights granted by the Cincinnati Reds solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds is prohibited. There's Bill Gullickson, and as Steve pointed out, after a brilliant month, it's been somewhat of a downer for Bill, making his 4th attempt at win number 14 as he is here today. But anytime Gullickson is pitching, you have to put that hard luck label on him. He has lost 3 games by scores of 2-1, and 1 other by a score of 1-0. So despite a recent 3-game losing streak, nevertheless, you have to think about what might have been for Bill Gullickson had he been the recipient of a bit more run production over the course of the season. Any way you cut it, he has had an outstanding year, and this is first in a Reds uniform. So Gully ready to go to work, and he'll go to work against that man right there, one of the hottest hitters in the league, Steve Sachs, and waging a 3-way battle with Tony Gwynn of San Diego and Montreal's Tim Raines for the batting championship of the National League for this 1986 season. 18-game hitting streak, and there are the impressive numbers for Mr. Sachs, whose 9th inning home run here on Friday night gave the Dodgers that comeback 9-7 victory. So Steve will lead it off. 328 against the league and 271 against Cincinnati. Settling in here against Bill Gullickson as the crowd settles back and gets ready for an afternoon of baseball. Pitch is in for a called strike, and this game is underway. This is the 34th start for Bill. He has 6 complete games with that .302 ERA, which is good enough to rank him in the top 10 in that pitching category in the National League. And he jumps ahead 2 strikes on sacks. The victory last night allowed the Reds to remain better than .500 for the season. They are now 2 over at 74-72. The Dodgers, on the other hand, again dropped 10 under with a record of 69 wins and 79 losses. Each club playing game number 149. Larkin makes it easy. 1 out. Brings up center fielder Kenny Landreau after Sachs bounces out to shortstop. Steve, very impressive on-field ceremony today.
It certainly was, and you just take a look back at his career and the way the fans stood. It wasn't simply because of his actions on the field, the way he has come through in the clutch. It is simply that smile, that great personality, and really the image for so many young fans in Cincinnati to look up to.
It has been the ultimate love affair. That's the only way you can term Tony Perez's relationship with the city of Cincinnati and the great fans that this club is blessed to have. 1 ball, no strikes on Ken Landreau. And that should be the 2nd out of the inning. Eddie Milner, he's got it. And Gullickson will now go for the perfect first as Landreau flies to center. He'll be confronted by a rookie in the Dodger lineup this afternoon. Right fielder Ralph Bryant. Plate umpire Spanky Fremming. At first base, it's Bob Davidson. At second, Dana DeMuth. And at third, Randy Marsh. This has been a near even season series between these two West clubs. The Reds win last night gives them the edge 9-8. Of course, the Reds swept them in Los Angeles last weekend. Bryant, considered a prospect by the Dodger organization and getting a lot of playing time since being brought up from Albuquerque. Batted only .237 for the season, but had 19 home runs. Batting .324 since his call-up with 2 homers, and he's driven in 6 runs. A loud foul to right field. 0-2.
And the word on Ralph Bryant, he came up and had a lot of difficulty down in Albuquerque, but had a bad wrist, and he's hit much better in L.A. than he did in Albuquerque.
Well, he's rated a pretty good outfielder with a decent arm. He has decent speed and, of course, the power. Dodgers hope that he can help them in 1987. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I asked Monty Baskel, I said, is he a prospect for your future? And he said, the way our people get injured, anybody's a prospect.
That's a very apt way of putting it, too. It has been that kind of year for this Dodger franchise. Does Bell have room? In the dugout, and he did, and the inning is over. 3 men up, 3 men down. Los Angeles first crack at Bill Gullickson. And after a half inning on Tony Perez Day, Dodgers nothing, Reds coming to bat.
Scoreless ball game, bottom of the first. Greg Brock will start at first base for the LA Dodgers. Around the infield, it's Steve Sachs, Dave Anderson, and Jeff Hamilton, the young third baseman. Ken Landreau will get the start in left field. Franklin Stubbs in center, and Ralph Bryant in right field. Behind the plate, the fine defensive catcher Mike Scioscia, and on the mound, Oral Hershiser. Cincinnati's starting lineup: shortstop Barry Larkin to lead things off, to be followed by Buddy Bell, then Dave Parker. Eric Davis back in there after taking last night off. Eddie Milner hits number 5 position. Then Tony Perez, the man honored today. Then Dave Van Gorder, Ron Oster, and Bill Gullickson. On the mound, Oral Hershiser, and he has a 6-2 career record against the Reds, including 1-1 in 4 starts this year. You see his earned run average and his wins and losses, nothing like last year when he went 19-3. And Tommy Lasorda, Marty says himself, it's just not the same bulldog Oral.
Well, the control aspect has been one problem for him as he works to rookie shortstop Barry Larkin. Those 83 walks and 206 innings of pitching, and at times he's walked him in bunches. Larkin hitting .287, coming off of a 3-hit ball game here last night. 1 ball, 1 strike to him, and if anybody in this organization thought at the time that Barry was brought up that he would hit and perform in the field the way he has done since coming up from Denver, I'd have to say they were not telling the truth. I think he has exceeded everyone's expectations and has really changed the thinking of a lot of people with his play. 1 ball, 2 strikes to him. He makes contact. He uses all fields. He has shown some pop with a couple of home runs. His play in the field has been nothing short of dazzling. Whatever the problems Hershiser's had this season, his career mark is impressive 6-2 against Cincinnati. 1 win, 1 loss, 4 starts this season. But as Steve pointed out, this has not nearly been the year that 1985 was. In fact, had it not been for the season that Dwight Gooden enjoyed, Orel Hershiser would have been the Cy Young Award winner in the National League.
19 wins and 22 decisions, and there are many that thought around the league after Dwight Gooden. They said he has the best stuff in baseball. That great slider, very good sinker, and he keeps everything at the knees. Occasionally he'll come upstairs just to show you a high fastball, but he'll keep everything down.
Well, you don't hit the long ball off of him too often. 11 homers in 206 innings. That's an indication of the effective sinker that he will possess more often than not. Larkin hanging in with him as Barry leads off the home first in a scoreless game. He does it again.
3 hits last night, and he is really on a roll because they haven't been cheap hits that Barry Larkin's been able to produce lately. They have been on the nose base hits. Here's a look at it again. Hershiser tries to get it down and does, and Larkin off the end of the bat just smokes it back up the middle.
Indeed, all he did was go down and get that ball and make solid enough contact to get it through the middle. His 6th hit in this series. 2 Friday, 3 last night, and has started off well here today. And keep an eye on him. 7 steals in as many attempts. Here's another 3-hit performer from the 9-5 victory last night, Buddy Bell. Only be able to settle for the force play on the lead runner Larkin. Jeff Hamilton to Steve Sachs for the first out. Now the thing the Dodgers accomplished there is they got the speed off of first base. And with 1 out in the inning, here's Dave Parker. Still chasing Mike Schmidt. 29 homers, 109 RBIs. Highly unlikely Dave will be able to catch him in home runs, but is only 5 off the league leading pace being set by Schmidt in runs batted in, although Parker not swinging the bat very well. Ball 1. Now the weatherman promised us a bit of sunshine this afternoon, and it now starts to break out a bit. Ball, 1 strike on big number 39. Hershiser, the image of the All-American boy. Outstanding hockey player in his young days, as you see Buddy Bell lead at first. Strike 2 is called, and also an excellent golfer. So he has been a good all-around athlete. Going, and he's out easy. Parker also, well, he took the pitch, Dave did, and Buddy running on. The Reds, of course, trying to do a little running and hitting. Parker not offering it the pitch, and in lieu of that fact, Buddy Bell dead duck at second base.
You've got to think somebody missed the sign here because they're not going to send Bell on his own. He's going. Parker doesn't swing. He's got to protect the man. Somebody missed a sign because Bell is out by a mile.
Well, Buddy cut down stealing for the 7th time in 9 tries, and a 2-2 count on Dave Parker with 2 outs, and now the base is empty. Routine for Franklin Stubbs, and the Reds Reds go down in their first shot at Oral Hershiser and company. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left. We've completed 1, and the Reds and the Dodgers are scoreless. With Steve Physioc, Marty Brennaman back at Riverfront on Tony Perez Day, and we are scoreless. 0-0. Reds in L.A. after 1 inning of baseball. Bill Gullickson knocked him off 1-2-3 fashion in the first, so he'll be going to war against the middle third for Tommy Lasorda's crew, namely Greg Brock, then Mike Scioscia, and then Franklin Stubbs. His 16th home run on Friday night. The focal point of numerous trade rumors. Not so much concerning the clubs he might be going to. Rather, it's the fact that Brock will be dangled by the Dodgers in the hope that they can maybe help themselves in the winter months. I think Greg Brock would pretty much fall into the same category of a Nicky Saski. Young men blessed with great power, but young men who have never really been able to consistently put it all together.
Not only that, but in Los Angeles, you have so many first basemen. Cincinnati may look at Nick a little bit more as a revered subject because they don't know who will be their first baseman next year, but they have about 3-4 guys who can do it for L.A.
Good point. Oster takes care of Brock. Left-handed batter will step in now, and catcher Mike Scioscia. Mike making his first start in this series, and of all the Dodgers, he has probably been the most banged up of late without actually going on the disabled list, although of course Mike Marshall not on the DL, can't play because of continued lower back problems, but Scioscia's been banged around in just about every part of his anatomy this season. 262 by way of an average with 4 home runs and 24 RBIs. And the one impressive thing, Steve, about Gullickson here in the first inning plus, he's getting ahead of the hitters and doing it very, very quickly.
It seems like in his last few ball games against Chicago, San Francisco, and Houston, he did fall behind in the count. Now, he only walked 2 in those 3 ball games, but he was always throwing 3-1 or 2-1.
The thing that Pete pointed out about his somewhat aborted outing against the Houston Astros when they were in town earlier in the week, the fact that while he was throwing very well, he was consistently up. And against that Houston club, you cannot do that and live well. And he didn't.
The first 5 hits they had were for extra bases, and they were all about belt high.
Tony can't get it. Scioscia becomes the first Dodger base runner. So with 1 on and 1 out, the batter will be center fielder Franklin Stubbs. Coaster ride of an '86 season for Stubbs. June and July were his. He had 14 home runs over those 2 months. But boy, they hit the month of August, and he has gone into or went into an extended skid at the plate. Ball to him. 21 home runs is certainly indicative of the kind of power that this former star at Virginia Tech possesses. 51 RBIs, but the .233 batting average much better than that before the month of August rolled around, and the slump is extended into September. 2 balls and no strikes.
You know, it's the middle of July, and he had 45 RBIs, and right now he only has 51. He only had 2 in the month of August alone.
A young talent who I don't think the Dodgers are ready to give up on. There's a strike. I don't believe the Dodgers would hit and run with Stubbs and Scioscia simply because Stubbs does not make a high degree of contact. They can't afford to have what happened to the Reds in the bottom of the first. And again, alluding to that play that saw Buddy Bell thrown out at second, somebody had to have missed a sign. Socia edging off the bag. Gullickson behind 2-1. And a dive by Oster, but he comes up short, and the Dodgers get him back-to-back. Parker trying to throw behind Socia. Did not take the big turn, and the LA Dodgers pose a threat on singles by Mike Socia and that man Franklin Stubbs.
You give Franklin Stubbs an opportunity to pull the baseball, and he will jump all over you. Bill Gullickson throws one a little bit inside, and there is Stubbs just ripping it by Ron Oster. A little bit softer, and Ron would have been able to get there. He got the glove down, and the ball was already by him.
Bill Gullickson confronted with some adversity for the first time today as he goes to work against another rookie in this Dodger attack, third baseman Jeff Hamilton. You've got a rookie playing third for the Dodgers. You've got a veteran doing it for Cincinnati and Buddy Bell. And I want to tell you, in these two guys, you have outstanding arms, cannons. The Dodgers like Hamilton. They feel like he will be their third baseman of the future. I think Billy Madlock's ready to step aside and make room for Jeff Hamilton, but still in all, they like the attributes that he possesses enough that they figure that when the day comes that Madlock steps aside, Hamilton will be the guy to step in.
Remember last week when we were out in L.A. and Tom Lasorda was standing around the batting cage watching Hamilton. He said, you know, with the glove, he has hands like Buddy Bell. That's soft, that quick. And I said, well, that's saying a lot about somebody, because I really feel Bell is the best third baseman in the game. And he goes, so do I.
That's the ultimate compliment. Talking about third baseman, Tommy Lasorda chatting with his regular at that spot, but getting a day off today, Billy Madlock. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1 down in the inning. Dodger runners at first and second. That's Socia, the lead runner, and Franklin Stubbs. To hold Socia. So that is 3 in a row. And Gullickson finds himself immersed in a bases loaded situation now. Manny Mota chatting with young Mr. Hamilton over at first base. Gullickson will have to bow his back and really go to work as he faces the 8th batter in the Dodger lineup. Shortstop Dave Anderson, and Pete Rose talking to his troops from the dugout.
Tony push over just a little bit at first base. Regular infield will be playing at double play depth.
First homer of the year came Friday night. Hit it in the 7th with a man on against Ted Power. All kinds of signs adorning the facings of the stadium here this afternoon in all sectors of the ballpark, recognizing Tony Perez. And Gullickson behind, 2-0.
That says it all.
Yes, it does. Very, very succinctly put. And another one, Tony, been very, very good to us. Very clever. There it is. Foul back.
You know, he was talking about divorcing himself from baseball, and he simply said, I can't, and neither can my wife Patuca. We love the game too much. It has been too great to us to simply walk away. And he said Patuca loves Cincinnati so much that he feels they will be here for the next few years.
Now it'll be interesting to see what role the Reds organization casts Tony in, beginning with the '87 season. 2-1 on Anderson with 3 on and 1 out. And if ever Bill Gullickson wants to go for a strikeout, it's right now. He's even with him at 2-2.
challenging him with the high heat, had the count 2-1, threw a fastball right about the letters, and then comes up with the same pitch, almost a little bit higher. It's fouled off.
Now, Dave Anderson's home run here on Friday night is as good an example as you'll find of if a guy swings the bat, he's dangerous. I mean, he is certainly no power hitter, never has been. But every now and then, guys like Dave Anderson will run into one. I'm sure Bill Gullickson not taking anything for granted, especially considering the situation he finds himself in. Can Oster get it? He cannot. A flare for Anderson and a fourth consecutive Dodger hit, and LA goes in front 1-0.
That was the first base hit that was not hit that well. Socia, Stubbs, and Hamilton all line shots, and this was just a looper over the glove of Ron Oster, and Ron was thinking about it. Almost looked like he was in between decisions whether or not to give it a dive, but by that time Anderson had looped it just over his head enough where Ron knew it was a base hit. And Parker right on top of it to keep that second run from coming in.
So Anderson drives in his 14th run of the season, and now the Dodgers have the pitcher up there, Oral Hershiser. He's a decent hitter, 220 average. That should be 2. Oh, it'll be a force at third as a run scores, and the Dodgers lead 2-0. Barry Larkin playing it safe because with his momentum carrying him away from the double play action, he elected to play it safe and get the force out at third base on Hamilton.
And the way things were going, Bill Gullickson really just needed an out after 4 straight base hits, this one in the hole, and Barry gets the lead guy at third base. Meantime, the guy scores. Down in the Reds bullpen ways, a new guy is warming up. That is left-hander Joe Price.
2 Dodger runs in as the veteran left-hander starts to heat up. And Sachs back for the second time. He opened the game and grounded out to shortstop. So runners at first and second with 2 runs across for Los Angeles. Ball 1. In doubles, also second in base hits, and right there among the other 2 battling for the title insofar as average is concerned. Tony Gwynn had quite a night last night down in Houston in the 10-6 San Diego loss. He stole 5 bases. He had 4 hits. He has raised his average to .335. That is 7 better than both Sachs and Raines, who went into play today tied for second in the league at .328. And a look at the 1-1 pitch. 2-1. Inning routine for Bill Gullickson. The second inning anything but. Scott Breeden checking whatever pertinent pitching information he might deem necessary at the moment. Full count. Landreau due to bat next as Bill Gullickson has gone the distance on Steve Sachs with 2 runs across for Los Angeles and a 3-2 count on Sachs. Runners will be breaking Anderson and Hershiser, and here comes a big pitch for Gullickson and the Reds as he checks and throws. Eddie Milner's taking it out, and the inning is over. But LA gets 2 runs. Reaching Gully for 4 hits with a couple of men left on. And through 1 1/2 innings of baseball, that's your score. 2-0 LA.
And now, Allstate presents the Good Hands Award Play of the Week. Tuesday night against the Houston Astros. Billy Hatcher with the smash to third, but Buddy Bell with the diving stop then throw cuts down Hatcher. In recognition of Buddy Bell's Good Hands Award Play of the Week, Allstate will make a donation in his name to the Ruth Lyons Christmas Fund. And remember, for all your insurance needs, you're in good hands with Allstate, a member of the Sears Financial Network.
2-0 Los Angeles as we move to the home half of the second inning. Eric Davis for openers against Oral Hershiser, who was touched for a leadoff single by Barry Larkin in the first inning, but that was it. Davis out of last night's lineup, but back in there today with his 26 homers, 68 RBIs. He, like Dave Parker, has been in a slump. Bryant. Davis is gone. 1 out.
It's beginning to look a little bit like last night's ball game. Reds got down 5-0, but really made a tremendous comeback this time of the year when they're almost eliminated. Houston's playing such tremendous baseball, but the Reds battled back to tie it up and win it 9-5.
Well, doubly impressive when you think back to Friday night and how that game went. If ever there was a game you thought the Reds were going to win, and Pete certainly expressed those sentiments, it was that game, leading 6-2 and then 7-4 with Johnny Franco on. But the Dodgers had other thoughts, and the Reds bounced back yesterday or last night with a big win. Here's a hot hitter in the Reds lineup, Eddie Milner. 3 hits, 3 RBIs last night, 2 singles and a triple, and has hiked his batting average up to 248. Sachs backs to play it on the good hop, and he almost threw it away. Almost harkening back to the days a couple of years ago when Steve could not make a good throw to first.
Milner hits it hard and is running hard immediately. Watch Sachs. He does not have a good follow through at all. Gets Brock off the bag, but Greg is able to get the right foot down in time. And well, here's the man of the hour, the man of the day, man of the rest of the season.
Tony settling in for the first time. And a strike to him. Earlier today during the pregame ceremonies, that was the scene when the entire ball club, all of Tony's teammates came out. Davey Concepcion making the presentation on the part of the club and presenting Tony a trip for 2 to Spain. And he bounces out to Sachs, and that's a perfect 1-2-3 inning for Oral Hershiser as you look at Patuca, Tony's wife, Bill Burgish, and of course Marge Schott. At the end of 2, the Dodgers have the early lead at 2-0. One part of a great production team that covers baseball here at Riverfront Stadium, Kevin Garrett. Into things here this afternoon, as we all are, but right now the Reds looking at a 2-0 deficit as the Dodgers come calling in the top half of the third inning. Kenny Landreau, who skied to Milner in the first. Sounded good, but not good enough. Milner, with that great speed of his, gets back to make the play routinely. So Landreau hitting fly balls to Eddie, his first 2 trips to the plate. Very quickly, Gullickson gets the first down and will now go to work against right fielder Ralph Bryant. 4 straight hits, producing 1 Dodger run in the second, and then pitcher Hershiser helping himself by grounding one into the hole. Reds were able to get a force at third, but another run came across. Tomorrow night, Tuesday night, the San Francisco Giants in a battle for second place in the West. Final 2 times those clubs will meet this season. Hit well. Davis looking. He might hold him to a single or possibly get him. Nope, the throw offline just a bit. And Bryant exhibiting the kind of opposite field power he possesses, rattles the boards in left field. And Davis, of course, an outstanding defensive outfielder, didn't really have time to get back on it.
he's racing back now, but it was hit directly at you. And a lot of times he plays it perfectly off the riverfront wall to almost catch Ralph Bryant. But Ralph has that pretty good speed and a throw off target. But sometimes, as they say, the ones hit right at the outfield are the most difficult to really measure.
Indeed. LA leading by 2 and trying to get another one with Bryant hanging out at second. And here's Greg Brock, who opened the last inning and bounced out to Oster. Ellickson trying to run that fastball over in the inside corner, but too much in on him. Well, not exactly in accord with either of the first 2 signs that Dave Van Gorder dropped down. Ball a strike. The count on Brock. And Van Gorder doing an excellent job of saving Bill a wild pitch that keeps Bryant at second base. Dave getting his first start since being brought up from Denver as you look at that fine stop of his again.
Breaking pitch in the dirt, and I tell you, for all the young catchers around baseball, that's the way to do it. Make sure you try and keep it in front of you and not allow that runner to advance.
Former All-American at Southern California under Rod Dado. Spent the year at Denver after suffering that injury during spring training. Whoops. Bryant had to hold up to see whether or not the ball was going to get through, so he advances just to third. But the Dodgers are at it again. And now Pete Rose comes out of the dugout. Normally a highly unlikely maneuver when you consider the fact no one is throwing in the bullpen. But I just wonder if Pete is coming out thinking maybe something might be wrong with Bill, or if he is going to make a pitching change. But obviously nobody down there having loosened up. Scott Terry hustling down there now. But we saw Scott Breeden earlier. He's a guy who normally goes out to talk with Bill. In this case, Pete makes a rare appearance other than going to take a pitcher out.
Bill has been way off with his location. You can almost see Dave Van Gorder give the location with his glove down low, and the pitch is up high. He'll ask for a breaking pitch, and boy, it has been up high above the belt almost every single time.
And left-hander Joe Price has joined Scott Terry the second inning that Joe has been up. I guarantee you Pete does not want to go through a replay of what we saw in the early innings here last night when the Dodgers jumped out in front with 4 runs in the second and another run in the third. Right now they lead 2-0. Scioscia's a guy who started him in the last inning. He had a base hit into right and scored the first run. Gets back to it, but tagging and coming onto the plate is Ralph Bryant. And the Dodgers now lead 3-0 as Brock scampers back to first and Bryant scores. Here's Franklin Stubbs. He had the second of those 4 straight second inning singles. Bill Gullickson not fooling anybody at the moment. Steve, it really looks like he has no clue right now as far as his control is concerned. He's all over the place.
Well, if he comes out there instead of pitching coach Scott Breeden, it's almost like you said, Pete is asking, hey, do you feel all right?
Good play by Tony. He smothered it. And that play ends the inning. Nice play by Tony Perez, but another a scoring inning for L.A. A run on a couple of hits with a man stranded. We're in the middle of the third at Riverfront, and the Dodgers lead by 3. Task a little bit more difficult for Cincinnati as you look to a young Reds fan, and he is hoping for a turnaround as we go to the home third inning with the Reds now trailing 3-0. Oral Hershiser, since serving up the game opening or Reds opening first inning single to Barry Larkin, has retired 5 in a row. That's Dave Van Gorder. Talking about Dave making his first start, Bo Diaz had to lead the lineup last night with a shoulder problem after batting one time. Sal Butera replaced him, delivered a 2-run single. He was a factor, but hurt his shoulder sliding in head first at home plate in scoring from first on a triple by Eddie Milner. So Pete had nowhere else to turn, and Van Gorder getting a chance to start on a memorable afternoon this Sunday, September 21st. Hamilton takes his time to make the good throw. We'll pause now for station identification on the Cincinnati Reds television network.
Channel 5, WLWT, Cincinnati.
1 out, bases empty, third inning. Ron Oster. Hershiser with everything his way right now. The last 4 outs have been ground balls, and that's Oral Hershiser when he's on top of his game, and a somewhat disgruntled Ron Oster returns to the dugout, and in his place at the plate it'll be taken by pitcher Bill Gullickson.
5 ground ball outs in the ball game of the 8 outs that he has recorded, and that is an Oral Hershiser day. Like you said, only 11 home runs this year.
Old left-hander will be joining Steve when we go to the 4th inning of action here. Some of the numbers for Bill Gullickson for this 86 season. Hamilton again. And again, the Reds are out on order, and at the end of 3, the Dodgers are leading 3-0.
It's a 3-0 ball game. The L.A. Dodgers lead the Cincinnati Reds as we head to the 4th inning of play. I'm Steve Physioc along with the old left-hander Joe Nuxall. And Cincinnati is honoring Tony Perez Day. The Cincinnati Enquirer earlier this morning when we opened up the newspaper just had a terrific article, a whole section on Tony Perez, and the title of it, Every Doggie Has His Own Day, and today is the main Doggies.
Well, it is, Steve, and you look around the stadium, some of the banners that are hanging in honoring Tony, and there's some very interesting ones. One out there says man's best friend, Doggie, and so on. And he is just a great person, and you can see Patuca there in the box along with Mrs. Schott, and just a great day. And the only thing that would really make it great would be a win for the Reds on Tony Perez Day.
And how about a home run from number 24? Well, Joe, you were part of this trivia question earlier today, and the question was asked by a Reds catcher, and he said, during the Tony Perez era, only one man has worn number 24 other than the big dog. Who was that?
That was Dave Van Gorder. It was really interesting.
Dave Van Gorder asked the question. He knew it all along.
Guess who answered it?
Joe Nuxall.
Tommy Elms.
I thought you knew it.
No. I searched my mind, and I couldn't come up with it.
Well, let's get back to the order of business at hand right now. Reds down 3-0 to the L.A. Dodgers to lead things off. It'll be Jeff Hamilton, the young third baseman, followed by Dave Anderson, the shortstop, and then Oral Hershiser. Foul back, out of play. It's no balls and 2 strikes. 2 runs for L.A. in the second, another in the third. Here we go in inning number 4, and Gullickson has struggled. And Joe, I remember against Houston, Gullickson, the location was way off, and you just said the catcher at that time, Bo Diaz, was putting the location where he wanted the pitch, and Bill was far off that mark.
Yeah, he had a tough time his last time up, not necessarily because of his stuff, just location, and certainly any pitcher, the more good pitches he makes, certainly the more successes he has, and it was a tough outing. And,
look at that one.
A real wild one there. Looked like one of my old jobbies there.
That's not like the Bill Gullickson we saw in August when he was named National League Pitcher of the Month and had a remarkable month with an earned run average that was below 1. Well, he has the count, 2 balls and 2 strikes to Jeff Hamilton. He just threw one flat over his head about 4 feet. That one's in there. Pretty pitch there. Strikes him out. And for Gullickson in the ball game, his first K.
Well, it looked like a pitch that Van Gorder wanted away from him. It wound up and in. Let's see if we can see where Dave had his target. See, he's sitting out way, and it's up and in. Look here. See that?
How about a little fortune there?
Got an out with it. That's all you're there for.
Right. Back to the screen she goes. 1 ball, no strikes. Dave Anderson, his first time up. Base hit to right field, drove in a run. Counted foul back towards us. Evens the count, 1 ball and 1 strike. Terrific ceremonies before the ball game for an hour and 15 minutes. A terrific crowd of some 40,000 plus on hand. Salute Tony Perez on his special day. The 1-1 pitch to Dave Anderson misses outside. It's 2-1. And he loves the city so well. Both of his sons, Eduardo, Victor, born here in Cincinnati. And he says, I don't think my wife wants me to retire. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Eduardo and Victor both coming in from school. Of course, Vic, he's a sophomore at University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia, and then Eduardo is going to school in Miami, Florida.
Drive to left. Foul ball just barely as it hooks around that yellow pole out in left field line. Dave Anderson trying for his 2nd home run of the year and 2nd against Cincinnati.
That scared the dickens out of Eduardo and Victor. I told them they had to make a speech.
Some family. Special memories for all of them, and Physioc said this will be a day she will cherish for the rest of her life. Anderson is gone. Gullickson with his 2nd straight strikeout, and it takes us to the pitcher, Orel Hershiser.
It was just a good pitch. You watched it there. That was the wrong delivery. See it right on the outside, and Anderson couldn't reach it really.
So 2 down for Orel Hershiser. Was able to get an RBI his first time up with a ground ball to Buddy Bell. Scoring on the play, Franklin Stubbs. And boy, has he looked tough to the first 3 innings on the mound. Giving up just 1 base hit. Ground ball back with the middle. Larkin cuts it off. Easy play, and the Dodgers down 1-2-3 in their half of the 4th. 3-0. LA has the lead. Perez, he said he started thinking about this day earlier this week, and he says, I didn't know how I was going to be reacting. I knew I would be emotional, but I knew I would be very, very happy. Barry Larkin to lead things off for Cincinnati. Takes strike 1. Larkin, Bell, Parker here in inning number 4. Reds down by that 3 spot. A little ground ball. Hamilton. That's Larkin down by about 10 feet. And that is 6 consecutive outs that Hershiser has erased Reds by way of the ground ball.
Right now, Hershiser is the Hershiser we watched a lot last year. He gets a lot of ground balls and really runs, sinks on the right-handed batter, and right now he's pitching like he did last year. Hopefully he doesn't laugh. There's a pretty good hook right there.
He is something. Everything always seems to be around the knees. Buddy has a count, strike 1, and there is strike 2 with the fastball. Game in Pittsburgh earlier this year. Oro beat the Pirates 6-5, but an old friend of his, one of his best friends in the game, Sid Bream, said he really lacked the cockiness that he had last year. There's a ground ball. This time again, shortstop's away, and Bell is gone. So 7 in a row by way of ground ball. It started with Milner, then Perez, then Van Gorder, Oster, Gullickson, Larkin, and now Bell. And here comes Dave Parker. Ralph Bryant took care of Dave on a fly ball his first time up. He has 29 home runs. Tied with Glenn Davis, Mike Schmidt with the lead, who has had just a remarkable September already. 36 home runs, not just in the month, but a bundle to push that total to 36. There's a breaking pitch that stays low, ball 1. We're looking at a strike. They say he went around. Yes, he did. Strike 1. Ground ball. Again. And Parker is gone. So to the Reds, and at the end of 4, it's 3-0 LA. LA leads the Reds, and here's the opportunity for the Reds to say thanks to all the great fans throughout the Reds country. It's Fan Appreciation Day, Sunday, October 5th, when the Reds battle the Padres. Fans in attendance could win a 1986 Ford Tempo, courtesy of WLWT-TV, a BB Riverboat Fun cruise for 30 people, and 2 season passes to Riverbend, and much more. It's Fan Appreciation Day, Sunday, October 5th at 2:15. And there's Team Photo Day. That's a beautiful picture that everybody's receiving in the stands today. Picture of all the Cincinnati Reds that have participated in this 1986 season. Joe, how about your performance yesterday? You rip one down the right field line to the warning track. Looks like a triple. The guy at first base only goes to second. You get cut down in between first and second on the rundown.
I misjudged my speed there, and I just couldn't bring it to a halt soon enough. I don't know what else to say.
I thought you were running out of gas around first.
Well, that's a possibility too.
1 ball, 1 strike.
That was a fun day, though. It really was, to see a lot of the old guys and some of those equitable people, players. You know, they aren't too far removed from baseball. I'll tell you. J. Johnstone, Don Money, I think played in Japan last year. Quite a few up.
2 balls and 1 strike to Steve Sachs. Takes high. It's 3-1. Al Raboski, boy, he's a little wild to open his debut, huh?
Yeah, well, I think that was just a little ploy on
Obviously.
Raboski's part. I don't think he's that wild.
Ken Landreau is on deck, and Sachs takes ball 4.
Of course, Ryan Duran. You all remember Ryan Duran, reliever for the Yankees, and we had him here with the Reds. He did that not intentionally. He'd come in from the bullpen, and about the first 3 pitches he threw, missed the catcher up against the backstop, and you know, 1 isn't bad, but when you see a couple of more fly up there, then you have to begin to think, well, wait a minute here.
This was the equitable old-timers game last night. We're talking about Al Raboski. The mad Hungarian went through his act, went behind the mound, stomped with the glove, stormed to the pitcher's mound, and then threw one in between the batter and the on-deck circle, about, a good 15 feet off his target, as hard as he could, and then went back and started throwing strikes.
Did you notice he had that beard painted on?
Yeah, that was something. Al now broadcasting cable games for the St. Louis Cardinals. Reds bullpen remains active. Joe Price warming down that way. And the count to Ken Landreau has gone 2 balls and no strikes. Sachs has already walked. Base hit left field. Sachs to second base. And very few of these base hits have been of the cheap variety. They've been hitting them on the button. And here comes Pete. He may have seen enough 7 hits now off Gullickson All but that base hit by Greg Brock back in inning number 3 have been hit hard. So Joe Price comes on. Day is over for number 34, Bill Gullickson, and the Reds will try and cool things down with Joe Price. We'll come back with our pitching change after these words. The Dodgers threatening to knock in a few more. They lead Cincinnati 3-0 and have 2 on and nobody out. Well, it's another special day at Riverfront Stadium when the first 15,000 youngsters 14 and under receive a 3-ring binder on Notebook Day thanks to Swing Line Staplers and Wilson Jones. These notebooks are just the right item for the new school year. Each notebook is white with the official Reds logo and pockets on the inside for those extra items. Plan to be at Riverfront Stadium on October 4th when the Reds meet the Padres at 2:15 and Notebook Day, sponsored by Swing Line Staplers and Wilson Jones.
Here's Joe Price, and Joe making his second appearance since coming off the DL. Overall for Joe, this will be his 25th. He has started 2 games. As you can see, he's won 1 and lost 2 in a .545 earned run average. Joe in 39 innings has allowed 48 hits, has struck out 28 and walked 20, and Bryant bunting third base side. It'll roll foul.
Strike 1. Ralph Bryant has a double and a pop-up in his 2 appearances, has come around to score a run. That came back in the 3rd. Meantime, on the bases, Ken Landreau at first base and Steve Sachs at second. Landreau almost taking a tumble. But you may have already heard about Joe Price's history. He had those elbow problems a year ago, had surgery in the offseason, and many felt that it really takes almost a year to recover from the type of surgery that he had. Well, he has had a rough 1985. And there's the bunt. Price gets the man at third, and Buddy Bell says, nope, I'm not going to make the throw. There's 1 down. So Bryant with the bunt, but not a good one.
Well, the thing also, Steve, that Joe got off the mound good. It wasn't a particularly good bunt, but the thing is, watch Price come off the mound now. See here, he gets off there pretty good and fields the ball, kind of a tough hop, and throws a strike to Bell. So a big out right there, we hope.
1 down. 2 remain on the bases. Greg Brock. Foul ball. Strike 1. Brock is 1 for 2 as well, part of that 4 consecutive base hits second inning when the Dodgers came around to score 2. Gullickson started the game. Price in relief here in the 5th. Misses. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Was a big part of the game. The win last night was the middle relief, Carl Willis and Rob Murphy, and Joe can do the job right here and hold him right at this point. Why, still got a good shot at him.
Boy, Willis just came on and did a tremendous job. Pete Rose saying after the ball game, that is the kind of performance that wins ball games. In the game, Willis went 3 2/3, gave up only 2 hits, struck out 3, did not allow a run, and Murphy winds up the winner. He goes the final 3 innings and gets that victory. Boy, is he pitching well. There's a foul out of play. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Murphy, if he continues his pace, is just going to wind up with some remarkable statistics as well, Joe.
He sure is, and I tell you, each time out he gets better, more calm, and well, for instance, last night the way he threw the ball, with all the confidence in the world.
Greg Brock is gone. Joe Price comes up with a strikeout, and now will fake Mike Sosa to try and finish off.
Here's a breaking ball by Joe, and Sosa, as you can see, trying to check his swing and couldn't get the job done. He was way out there, and it looked like Greg was happy with the call or happy with himself, one or the other.
In there, strike 1. Mike has also driven in a run and scored a run. Time called. Umpires Bruce Fremming, first base Bob Davison, Randy Marsh at second, and third base Dana DeMuth. front of Eddie Milner to take care of it, and a fine job of pitching by Joe Price to end the 5th. Reds still down, though, 3-0 to L.A. It's a 3-0 ball game. The LA Dodgers have the lead on the Cincinnati Reds as we head to the bottom of the 5th. And here's the opportunity for the Reds to say thanks to all the great Reds fans throughout Reds country. It's Fan Appreciation Day Sunday, October 5th, when the Reds battle the Padres. I told you about it earlier. It's coming your way, October 5th at 2:15. And in attendance, if you are there, you'll be able to have a chance to win a 1986 Ford Tempo courtesy of WLWT, a BB Riverboat fun cruise for 30 people, 2 season passes to Riverbend, and much more. Eric Davis will lead things off. Will be followed by Eddie Milner, and then the big dog, Tony Perez. Time being called by Bruce Brennaman. I believe there's a sign straightaway center field that is causing difficulties for the hitters. It's from Grayson, Kentucky, and it's just another part of this Tony Perez tribute. Center field, right behind.
Well, they wanted to be seen. There it is on the television network. So troops shut her down out there so we can play some baseball. Sometimes it gets difficult to see it. You don't need a white background out there.
They must have that bolted down because they're having some kind of difficulty trying to unharness it.
One of the knots I get in my shoe.
When you tie them together.
Right.
Hey, Joe, this is a good time to congratulate you and your Miami Redskins. How about that?
Hey, I tell you one thing. I'm so happy for Tim Rose and that bunch up at Oxford. I don't know how to explain myself. I'll be very honest with you. As much as I think about them, when they went down there, I was very optimistic about that ball game, but they certainly must have did a heck of a job.
Miami beats LSU at Baton Rouge, which is one of the most difficult places to win in college football. Davis high and inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. The boss of the LA Dodgers sitting with Pedro Guerrero. That's Tommy Lasorda. And Earl Hershiser working on a 1-hit shutout through 4 innings. Davis with a spank back up the middle. That's the base hit, and the Reds start the 5th inning off right.
Hershiser didn't want the ball up like that. He got it up and out over the plate, and Harry hit it right on the screws. But it looked like Earl might have wanted the pitch down and away, but Harry takes advantage of it. Here's another look at it. See, it's right over the plate. You could see that Socia wanted the ball down and away. So a start here in the 5th for the Reds.
Davis has excellent speed as Eddie Milner steps in there. Takes strike 1.
Eddie last night, he of course had 3 hits and scattered them all around the outfield, center, right, and left, and he was particularly happy with his double his last time up to left field over the head of the Dodger outfielder. He really liked that hit simply because he said he stayed with the pitch. He didn't pull off of it, and usually when Eddie's hitting good, he does use the whole ballpark.
And he's pushed the average up 20 points in this month to 247. 3 hits last night. Davis has 71 steals in the year. Is not going, and Milner swinging and missing, almost coming out of his shoes.
Almost lost the bat too.
0-2. Now Hershiser has a very good move to first base, but that kind of leg kick that he gives the base runner an opportunity to get a good break.
Well, the thing is, he's quick over there, Steve. When I say quick, I'm talking about turning and getting the ball over, but you're right. When he goes to the plate, he gives you that little extra, but there again, the base runner has to be alert as to his quick move over. Now, that wasn't his best move at all.
No balls, 2 strikes to Eddie Milner. Davis again not going. There's a line drive. Left field. Hanging for Ken Landreau, and Davis retreats to first base, and here comes Tony Perez.
There's the sign, man's best friend Doggie. I like that one.
Well, he's in an RBI situation here.
I like the one out there. Tony been very, very good to us. That's
Mayor
good.
Charlie Lucan, Marty Brennaman, and the big dog Tony Perez with Davis going. Not in time, and Sachs will complain. Stolen base number 72 for Eric Davis, second in the major league.
Pretty good throw by Mike Scioscia. Here we'll look at it, and Scioscia gets rid of the ball in pretty good fashion. Kind of a tough pitch to throw on. Here's another look at it, and you can see that he tags Eric on the knee, and Randy Marsh, the second base umpire, right on the play.
Perez digging in. Pete Rose saying, RBI-wise, I have never seen a more consistent player over the course of 2 decades. Low, ball 2. Orlando Cepeda is in the stands here today. The gentleman that Perez is trying to tie as far as home runs go by a Latin American baseball player. Perez with 378, Cepeda with 379. Misses outside. 3 balls and no strikes.
I would have to bet that Tony Peters giving him the green light. Let's see.
Tony steps out. You know, earlier this week on Thursday, Pete said, you know, I'd like to see Oral Hershiser maybe even groove a couple. He says, I know I won't be able to convince him of that. Wouldn't it be nice to see the doggie hit one out on his own day? Quick move to second base. Davis gets back. Misses, ball 4. So Perez is on, and Hershiser gets some boos.
I think Oro knew that Tony had the green light there. He certainly suspected it. He wasn't going to give him anything that he could drive. So he winds up now tying runs at the plate for the Reds.
Well, it's a special day for Tony. Signed from Cuba as a skinny, tall shortstop. Went to spring training, then on to Geneva. They had a shortstop named Chico Carmen, a third baseman, a first baseman, but no second baseman, and that's why Tony played second base. Then the Reds signed Pete Rose and moved Tony over to third base, came up with Cincinnati and moved around, made third base, a little first base later in his career. And then he said the most disappointing part of his entire career was when he was traded from Cincinnati. Dave Van Gorder stands in there now and takes a ball. All of a sudden, Hershiser a little wild.
He's starting to get up in the strike zone somewhat, Steve, and certainly that's where most pitchers have problems unless they throw 98.
2 balls and no strikes. Things going with 1 out. Ron Oster will follow Dave Van Gorder to the plate. On the base is Eric Davis. Tremendous speed at second base. And the big dog Tony Perez over at first. The Cuban Comet. Davis is going to throw to third. Gets the ball, gets away from Jeff Hamilton. Safe at third is Eric. So runners at the corner. And the count is 2-1.
Here's another look at it, and then you can see Eric getting the break. Here's Scioscia's throw, and it's been very interesting. It looked like Dana Demuth might have been ready to fire up that right arm had Stevenson or had Hamilton held on to the baseball, and I tell you, it'd been a very interesting call.
Reds need some runs. They are down by 3. And now have Davis at third, Perez at first, and a swing and a miss for Dave Van Gorder. The count is even, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Davis first time up. Grounded out to the third baseman, Jeff Hamilton. Swing and a miss, struck him out. Time. He hit the ball hard, but right at the first baseman, Greg Brock's first time up, and grounded out. So 2 outs, 2 on. Tying run remains at the plate. Now in the bat of Oster. Bounces away. Here comes Davis. He will score. It's a 3-1 ball game. Perez goes to second. He scored a wild pitch.
Now here's a look at it. It's a curveball down and in. You can see Socia try to block the ball, but it really came up, hit him in the chest protector, and rolls off to the right of the plate, and there he scores easily. So run in, and Tony in scoring position now.
Breaking pitch misses. 2 balls, no strikes. Misses inside. 3-0. You know, Joe, it sometimes seems that is the difference between Oral Hershiser this year and last. Last year, he would really challenge you. This year, when he seems to get base runners on, he really seems to worry a bit more.
Well, you see a lot of breaking balls, and
in there, 3-1.
That's his fastball. Usually last year it was, but really, I guess if you analyze Oral's year, not seeing him every game, you would look at 83 walks and think that might be one of his problems, and pitching behind a lot.
Oster, ground ball to Steve Sachs. Easy play. Down go the Reds, but they come up with a run on 1 base hit and score on the wild pitch. And at the end of 5, it's the Dodgers 3, the Reds 1. That's the judge, Jim Hines, and you can go around the major leagues and people will tell you that that is the finest center field cameraman in baseball. And there's the hound dog. Dodgers 3, Reds 1. Top of the 6th we go. And some fun at the old ballpark. Herky. We've seen him today on this special day for the Reds first baseman Tony Perez as Joe Price throws ball 1 to Franklin Stubbs. He'll lead things off, to be followed by Jeff Hamilton and then Dave Anderson. A low ball 2. Joe, you have to be pleased with the way Joe Price threw in that last inning. He came on with 2 on, nobody out, and boom, 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 knocked down Brian, Brock, and Socia.
Did the job, but right now getting behind to Franklin Stubbs here in the 6th.
3 balls, no strikes. In there, 3-1. With a fly ball right field, Parker back, nearing the warning track, makes the catch, is 1 down. There's the Cleveland Flash, Jim Strickler, and Disco Denny right next to him.
Where did they come up with these names of these guys?
It's just like the doctor and the driver. Lou Rainoni and Roy Alpers and the Doggie. Doggie's day. Curveball's in there, strike one. Jeff Hamilton is the batter. Ground ball. Perez gets two. Excellent play.
Tony made that's kind of plays Tony made when he first came up, and he's still making them. A fine play by Doggie there. That big old trapper first baseman mitt he's got. Look at that. Diving stop and rolls over, gets up from his knees, throws a strike to Price. And see that the good interesting part of that play, Steve, is he got the ball to Joe right away. He didn't, where you like to sometimes throw it more to the bag, but he gave it to Joe so he could find the bag and didn't have to search for the bag and the ball at the same time.
Well, when he came up, he said, you know, I wasn't really a good defensive player. I played shortstop, had a good arm, but would botch a lot of plays, hit right at me. So they moved me around third to second to first base, and he really turned out to be a pretty good first baseman. 1 ball, 1 strike. Misses 2-1. Asked him the other day how he got the nickname the Cuban Comet, and he said, well, that came from Pete. Swing and a miss. 2-2. Said Pete called me that because I was never fast. I actually heard it more in Riverfront Stadium. As a matter of fact, it came on a double steal situation, I believe, back in 1972. Breaking pitch misses, 3 balls and 2 strikes, and that he stole home. Runners in the corners, and Perez stole home, and Rose said, hey, you look like the Cuban Comet out there. Foul back. 3-2. But you tell me how you nicknamed him the mayor of Riverfront.
Well, it really had to do when he first came back, Steve. Tony had gotten a couple of big base hits as he did throughout his career, and the crowd reaction to Tony's base hits, and it seemed like any time he walked to the plate, it was just a roar here at Riverfront. So I don't know how I came up with it, other than it just came out. Doggie's the mayor of Riverfront right now, and he was.
He certainly is today, and there's ball 4 thrown by Joe Price. He walks Dave Anderson, so 2 outs, man on, and here is the pitcher, Orel Hershiser. Leads Cincinnati by 11 games, and their magic number is 4 after beating San Diego last night 10-6. Breaking pitch misses. And the Astros playing later today. Jones going against Neffer. Again, the Astros magic number 4. Any combination wins, losses, totaling that number, and the Astros clinch the West. The Dodgers, meantime, 17 games back, the most they have been this year. A drive to left field. Davis going back. Will score a run. Davis racing that ball back to the infield, but Larkin will hold on to it, as checking in is Dave Anderson. So back to back. After 2 outs, Anderson walks. Hershiser comes through with a double, and it's a 4-1 ball game.
Well, right up in the pitcher's wheelhouse there. See, a high fastball, and Eric trying to run it down, but not quite. You can see it short hop the fence right there. Eric playing it well off the wall, but Anderson with pretty good speed scores easily.
Boy, pitcher comes through with something like that. The guy on the mound, Joe Price, has to be field. A little bit low. 3-run lead is back for that guy, Orel Hershiser. No strikes. Ball 2. Sax's average started at .328 of the ball game, tied for second place with Tony Gwynn, and right now fallen 1 with that 0 for 3 performance. This is high. 3 balls, no strikes. Wynn leads the league at 335, and Sachs and Raines were tied at 328 coming in. Misses ball 4. And Sachs picks up the second walk of the inning that Joe Price has allowed. And the Reds will get busy again down the bullpen way. Scott Terry.
On his way to the mound to have a brief conversation with both Dave Van Gorder and Joe Price. You see Scott Terry starting to throw once again in the Cincinnati bullpen, but Braden is still at the mound, and there you see Scotty discussing whatever problem it might be for Joe. He's been up in the strike zone a bit, so Braden done with his tips and heads back to the dugout.
Interesting, both pitchers the Reds have shown today, Bill Gullickson and Joe Price, have breezed through the first inning of work and then fall into troubled times. And here comes Pedro Guerrero. He will be pinch hitting. So Ken Landro will leave the lineup. He faces the right-handed pitchers and Guerrero the left-handers. Guy who ate up Cincinnati pitching a year ago with 6 home runs. Heard all about his damaged knee that's kept him out of the lineup most of this '86 campaign. There's a strike. Has just 28 at bats this year. 1 home run, a 3-run shot off Atlanta earlier this year. One ball, 1 strike. Runners in first and second, 2 outs. Run already in. In there, 1 and 2. Two balls, 2 strikes, and Bryce continues to struggle. Swing and a miss, and down goes Guerrero, but the Dodgers come up with 1 more. And at the end of 5.5, it's LA 4, Cincinnati 1. Four to 1 LA over Cincinnati. Bottom of the 6th we go. You know, the Reds are saluting college students all over Reds country when they host the San Diego Padres on College Night at Riverfront Stadium. That's coming up Friday, October 3rd. All college students and their dates or spouses may buy box and reserve seat tickets at half price in advance of game day. It's the best welcome back around. Reds baseball at special prices on Friday, October 3rd. Get your studying done early and come to the ballpark for the biggest college night celebration. Kurt Stillwell leads things off and gets a base hit to right field. Stillwell pinch hitting for the pitcher Joe Price, so it'll be Scott Terry when the Reds take to the field in the top of the 7th.
Kurt Stillwell has done an outstanding job as a pinch hitter. He's now 6 for 16 as a pinch hitter, and that's not all bad in that role, I'll tell you. Of course, the superstar as a pinch hitter certainly is Cal Daniels. He is 11 for 23, and that's, well, I tell you, that sounds like an easy job. That's a tough job.
He got a big one last night to win the ball game over L.A. Daniels came up with 2-1 and has that pulled hamstring, and just ripped a double. 2 scored in the play, and Cal was taken out for pinch runner Tom Browning, but it wound up winning the ball game. Reds rallying from a 5-0 deficit. They lost the first game on Friday 9-7 after blowing a 7-4 and 6-2 lead. Larkin takes a strike and is behind 0-2. Stillwell has good speed over at first base. Larkin even better at home. Sunflower seed day at the ballpark. John Denny. Well, you'll see that on This Week in Baseball. There's a ground ball. Sacks. He's going to go to second. Gets the man there, but Stillwell takes him out.
It looked like Anderson started to go back to the bag. I don't know if Dave thought he missed a bag or Kurt beat the play, but he started back that way. Denny, I guess John's getting ready for Halloween. Here's another look at it now, and you see Barry swinging the ground ball to Sachs, and Sachs it's a nice bounce, gets himself in position to throw to second, and I tell you, that was a lot closer than it looked from up here, and you see it's like Anderson right there. He started as if he was going back to the bag.
Buddy Bell down the right field side by a lunging Ralph Bryant. Larkin will round third. He will score. Bell on to third with a triple. It's a 4-2 ball game. His third triple of the year. And the Reds, with something going here in the 6th, have a chance to cut the lead to 1.
Close to making the play, and his momentum taking him away from the ball, so that allows Larkin to score easily, and Buddy going to third with his, as Steve said, 3rd triple of the year. Buddy now 65 RBI.
Well, I told you about the chance to cut it to 1. Well, with the big guy coming up there, he has 29 home runs already. Dave Parker takes outside. Vanderberg, Brian Holton warming down the LA Dodgers way. Holton's the right-hander. We saw him start against Cincinnati and really get beat up a week ago Friday. Parker takes a strike at the knees. Dave can't understand it and walks away. 1-1.
Here's another look at it, and you be the judge. Oh no, Dave's got short knees if that's a strike.
Those adjustable kneecaps where you can move them up and down whenever you want to. Parker, drive to left. Struggling with it out in left field as Franklin Stubbs finally takes care of it, but Bell will score easily on the play, and it is a 4-3 ball game. So Parker with the RBI.
There's Dave 110 on the year now, so hangs in there in 2nd place.
110, and he said earlier this year, Mike Schmidt can have that home run title, but I'm going to get the RBI award. Reds have come back to pull within 1. And here's Mr. Davis. Eric with a drive to center field. Too much room. And taking it down, Jose Gonzalez, but the Reds come up with 2 in their half of the 6th, and at the end of 6, it's LA 4, Cincinnati 3. With 2 runs in the 6th, the Reds have pulled within 1, 4-3 of the LA Dodgers. You know, we've told you about Fan Appreciation Day that's coming up October 5th when the Reds take on the Padres at 2:15. There's a reason you might want to be there. Here's one of them. How about a chance to win a 1986 Ford Tempo, courtesy of WLWT Television, and a weekend for 4 at the Omni Netherland Plaza, Kings Island season passes, and more. That's Fan Appreciation Day, and it's coming your way Sunday, October 5th, when the Reds battle the Padres at 2:15.
Well, Scott Terry, the 3rd pitcher used by the Reds this afternoon, and Scott making his 26th appearance, first since rejoining the Reds from Denver. He's 0-2 in a .618 earned run average in 51 innings. Has allowed 61 hits. Has struck out 29 and has walked 29.
First batter that he will face, Ralph Bryant, who skies one in the air to Eric Davis in left. Eric had trouble with the sun, but not the baseball, and makes the catch.
Well, it's turned out a beautiful day here. Not a cloud in the sky all of a sudden.
Started out foggy and cloudy.
Like San Francisco for a while this morning.
Now we just got about 4 o'clock this afternoon. You know, the wind should start whipping up if it's going to be like Candlestick. Not here in lovely Cincinnati, though, where we're having our own fan appreciation day to the biggest Cincinnati fan. That's Tony Perez, who says, boy, he has just fallen in love with this city. And he's the Reds' first baseman. Scott Terry working with Greg Brock now, who takes a ball. Brock 1 for 3, grounded out, singled and struck out. One ball, one strike. Misses. It's 2 balls and 1 strike. Now, Scott went through a time this year where he was pitching so inconsistently, lost his confidence and his rhythm. And every time he'd get out there, he just really wouldn't feel comfortable. And my goodness, in this game, it is really a key. Brock with a smash to center field, but got under it too much. And Milner is right there for the second out. Sosha, Los Angeles catcher, saw his numbers. Been beaten up all year long. Has hit in 5 of the last 9 games.
Tom Browning put the biggest hurt on Mike out in Los Angeles in that collision at the plate. He was out for quite a while after that.
Almost a month. And he is one of those catchers who prides himself on being able to take those hard hits at home plate. The count to him is 1 ball and 1 strike. There's a rope to center field. That's a base hit. Stubbs, powerful young first baseman from a little town in North Carolina. Swings and misses at Scott Terry. Behind the count, 0-1. Scott with a fastball and a pretty good slider. To center field. Milner back to the wall, looking back, leaps, makes the catch. Reds out of the inning. Milner turns a dandy, and the Reds still down by 1, and there is a bewildered Franklin Stubbs. Dodgers 4, Reds 3. Bottom of the 7th inning, L.A. with a 1-run advantage on the Cincinnati Reds. Eddie Milner will lead things off, followed by Tony Perez and then Dave Van Gorder. Milner just made a fine catch to end the top of the 7th for L.A., taking extra bases away from Franklin Stubbs. Outside corner, catches it, 1 ball, 1 strike.
I ought to make that a statistic. How many times does a guy make a great play that either leads off the inning or he's second up? It's really amazing.
And how many times does a guy come through after that?
Okay.
Joe, just look over your left shoulder there. You can say hi.
Hello there.
Cincinnati. Special day for Davey.
Down in Knoxville. We're in Knoxville today.
Fouled off. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Only at home today. Some of the troops up in Oxford. I hope they're watching right now, man. They're happy and big O today.
Here's a happy Kansas Jayhawk fan. They've come from all over to pay special tribute to the man who's on the on-deck circle. Milner with a ground ball hit hard right at Steve Sachs, but he cuts down Eddie. And there's one down here in the 7th, and you listen to the ovation again. Tony earlier this week, what were his greatest moments in Cincinnati and in baseball, and he said, well, of course you have to mention the 75 and 76 World Series, but he said one that stands out is winning that 1967 All-Star game with a 15th inning home run off of Jim Catfish Hunter.
How about tying it up with one right here?
Let's do it. Ground ball back up the middle. Into center field, that's the base hit. Watches from the stands, and now the big dog comes down to the game. He'll be replaced by a pinch running Tracy Jones. The fans on their feet. Standing ovation. Happy Chandler with Reds owner Marge shot. Special man. Dave Van Gorder with Jones on at first base. Tracy Jones is wearing that cast on his wrist. Well, it's his left wrist. He cut the last one off himself. There's a strike outside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cincinnati in their half of the 7th. No runs, a hit, no one left. It's still 4-3 Los Angeles. LA Dodgers lead the Cincinnati Reds 4-3. As we head to the 8th inning of play, Marty Brennaman now rejoins us. Joe Nuxhall heads back to the radio side. And the one thing the Reds have been doing in this ballgame, they've been getting that good middle relief like they did last night, just to hang in there and have the opportunity to win the ballgame later.
Well, they got a shot. Of course, they came back last night with great relief work from Carl Willis and Rob Murphy. And even though Joe Price gave up a run, he threw the ball well. Scott Terry had a good 7th inning. And now hopefully the Reds can come back and have a big finish and really celebrate Tony Perez Day.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I'll vote for that. Scott Terry still on the mound as we move on to the top half of the 8th inning. For Los Angeles, Jeff Hamilton will lead things off. Hamilton has had one of those 9 Dodger hits. He singled back in the 2-run second and was robbed of a hit on a fine diving stop by Tony Perez in the 6th inning. Nick Isaski now has moved into the lineup to play first base. Well, with Tony having been lifted for a pinch runner in the 7th. And all else remains the same. There's Nick. Was a bit under the weather last night with a touch of the flu. Hamilton waves at one as rookie faces rookie here in the 8th inning.
I saw Nick's wife Vicky on the elevator. She said the whole family has it, and then talked to Nick early this morning. He said, you know, when the kids get sick, eventually you're going to get it too, and that's what happened to me.
You'll find that out one day, son.
I hope so.
You will, don't worry.
Mom and I are working on it.
1 ball, 1 strike. And Terry falls behind. Scott, of course, spent most of the year with a big league ball club. Went down, came back. You want to keep him from scoring at this juncture of the game. The club has come back to within a run. He'll get 1 out. Oster delivers to Nick, and Hamilton is gone. Dave Anderson, a base hit, a walk. He's scored 1. He's knocked in 1. And Hershiser will bat for himself. He's moved on deck. Tommy Lasorda much rather would have Orel Hershiser in a game such as this and take his chances and go to a bullpen that has betrayed him more often than not this season. A strike on the Dodgers shortstop, Dave Anderson. Well, it's always been the thinking that Scott Terry has a big league arm. It's just a matter of being able to locate, as is the case with most pitchers, and he is kept the ball consistently down here in the inning, in a third in which he's worked. Not that time, as Anderson drops 1 along the right field line. He will try to get to the shotgun throw by Parker late, and an opposite field bloop double by Dave Anderson, and Hershiser comes to the plate. That's 10 hits now for Los Angeles.
Scott was keeping that slider down, this time the fastball right there where Dave Anderson wants it, about belt high, and he jumps on it down the right field side. But Parker had a difficult throw to make, and man, he twisted around and threw a dart.
He can still throw,
I'll say.
The run that has the Dodgers in front was delivered home by Hershiser in the 6th inning when he launched a double to deep left center off Joe Price to get Dave Anderson home from first. Strike is called. You really got to bear down on this guy. Talked early on today about what a fine athlete he is, and that includes being able to swing the bat.
Reading about Jim Palmer, the first time he went out on the golf course and played 18 holes, hit under 100, which is really a remarkable feat for the first time to go out on a golf course and do that. And I think Hershiser's in that mode, just a super athlete.
Scotty going for the strikeout, and Hershiser delays it, at least for a moment. We certainly don't want to forget to pay tribute to the people who did such a fine job in getting this Tony Perez Day off on such a successful note today. Don Breen won, and Cal Levy, who still would be considered new in the Reds organization as its promotions director, the man who succeeded Greg McCollum. And they did some fine work in coordinating everything and making it go off really without a hitch. And of course, all the rest of the folks who were in on the planning stages also. Ball is fouled out of play. That's Dave Anderson leading out at second. Terry throwing nothing but strikes to his opposite number. And Hershiser continues to get a piece. Steve Sachs very well could be coming up in a moment with his last shot at extending a hitting streak that stands at 18 games. Looking Anderson back, and Hershiser's gone. 2 out. Time call now. Pete Rose jogging out toward the mound in a conversation that no doubt would involve who would you rather pitch to? You want to go against Steve Sachs, or would you prefer to pitch to Jose Gonzalez? If I were a pitcher, I think I'd rather pitch to Gonzalez.
His numbers are just too outstanding in the last 2 weeks. And when you get that feel up there, what the heck? Go with this guy, Gonzalez, who has not been hitting the ball that well. Still a rookie. Trying to prove his wares. And this guy, you can see that confident smile.
He's walked twice in the game. Officially, he's 0 for 2, having grounded a short and fly to center. And at least they're going to start out pitching to him. Went out to the mound with an open mind to discuss Steve Sachs with Scott Terry. Terry apparently convinced him that he had confidence in the fact that he can get him out. We'll see who's right and who's wrong. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And during that 18-game hitting streak, he's hitting about .420. And you know what happens in those streaks? That baseball looks a lot larger.
They are numbers, of course, you simply cannot ignore. Anderson leading at second. 2 outs. 8th inning, 4-3 LA. Strike 2 call. They ought to bronze Pete Rose in that position. Cannot get the handle on it. So while Sachs extends his hitting streak to 19, nevertheless, the runner is able, Anderson, only to advance to third. So the Dodgers have him on the corners, and Lenny Physioc is going to come to the plate to bat for Jose Gonzalez.
The former Moeller star, and Physioc stands in there with a .256 average this year, but more importantly, as a pinch hitter this year, he has just 3 hits in 21 at bats.
Tommy Lasorda. And Pete Rose playing mind games with each other from one dugout to the next. Oster got him. The threat is over. No runs, 2 hits for Los Angeles, as many folks left aboard. Good play by that man. Middle of the 8th inning, 4-3 Los Angeles. The executive producer of Cincinnati Reds baseball is Lou Rainoni. Producer-director Roy Alford. Network coordinator Dick Mort. Cincinnati Reds baseball is a special presentation of Multimedia Sports. Orel Hershiser with 2 innings of baseball to go, but he will have help waiting if he needs it, with a couple of hurlers throwing in the Dodger bullpen. Hershiser still hanging on by a run as he goes against Ron Oster, leading off the 8th inning. Oster has grounded out twice, but that's what Hershiser has had the Reds doing for the most part today, hitting that ball on the ground. Right-hander and a left-hander. Ed Vanderberg, the left-hander, loosening up, and Ken Howell, the Raven, the right-hander. And for Cincinnati, the former Dodger farmhand, John Franco. In the American League, the Red Sox come up with a big win today. They stave off a Toronto 3-game series sweep as Roger Clemens wins his 24th, beating the Jays 3-2 at Exhibition Stadium. And the Red Sox runs coming on solo homers. Dave Sachs, Steve's older brother, Rich Gedman, and Dwight Evans. 2-2. Tigers beat the Yankees 3-1 in the 7th. Milwaukee, Baltimore 1-1. Texas 2, Minnesota 1. They're in the 4th. In Anaheim, the White Sox and the Angels are scoreless after 4.5. Cleveland nothing in the 1st at Oakland. Kansas City, Seattle not started yet. Keep it at 2-2 on Ron Oster. A drive, deep right field. Has it got a chance? It does. Season, and Ron, this bud's for you on a game-tying 8th-inning home run, and here it is again.
Breaking pitch that does not break that well, and Oster really gets it up in the air. There was some question on whether it would make it over the wall or not, and it does. And you saw Bryant kind of slam his fist into the wall.
Good play by Hershiser to retire the pinch hitter Max Venable.
Sure was. The disappointment of Ralph Bryant. He sees it go over. It's a right hand. Boom. Tie game.
Frustration. Well, there's a man of the hour. Here's Barry Larkin as we go back to the top of the Reds batting order. That's a base hit. For Ron Oster, the first he has hit since the 17th of August against the San Diego Padres. He had a solo home run off Lamar Hoyt. That was one of 3 in an inning off the San Diego starter. And here comes Tommy Lasorda, and that normally portends a change of pitchers for Los Angeles. Saw Tommy send the call down, and he doesn't look real happy.
Not at all. This team led 3-0, 4-1. 3-run lead is gone, and Howell will come out.
Well, Ken Howell, the man who will be brought on in a 4-4 tie with a go-ahead run over at first base, and speedy Barry Larkin. Oral Hershiser leads, and with a Dodger pitching change here in the 8th inning, a break in the action. We'll be back in just a moment.
There's the damaged man right now. Dodgers 4, the Reds 4. Cincinnati was down by 3 earlier in this game by the scores of 3-0 and 4-1, where they have challenged back, by the way, the man in the middle, Ron Oster, who hit a home run over the right field wall. New pitcher for LA is Ken Howell. His numbers this year: not a good win-loss ratio, and 56 outings. He has thrown 92 innings, given up 75 hits. His biggest problem has been his walks. He's allowed 57 of those and 98 strikeouts in 92 innings. Has a blazing fastball, but really has been troubled in too many situations for the comfort of one Tom Lasorda. He was really anticipating this guy to be perhaps his stopper out of the bullpen with Tom Niedenfuer. Neither did the job earlier this season.
Well, he may be on, Steve, to face only one hitter because you've got Dave Parker, a left-handed batter, following Buddy Bell, and they've got Ed Vanderberg ready if they want to make that change. Bell has helped the Reds come back. He tripled to right in the 6th inning, a ball that just went by the leaning Ralph Bryant in right field. It went all the way to the wall. A run scored. Bell ended up at third. Well, let's see if Barry will utilize that great speed of his. He'll first draw a throw. Another multiple hit afternoon for the young man out of Moeller High School, Barry Larkin. Bell 1 for 3, RBI, run scored. 271 average. He's now knocked in 65 runs. And of course, the next home run he hits will be a new single season high for him. Ken Howe brings to mind Joaquin Andujar. When he throws to first base, he throws BBs. And that hard throw that he just made to Greg Brock might have broken a piece of that rawhide that holds the glove together, because Greg has gone back to the Dodger dugout to get another first baseman's mitt.
No, he just went back to get a batting glove.
You're right.
What you were talking about is probably the reason.
Yep.
That hurt. That throw hurt.
I guess he figures, hey, if you're going to throw over there that hard, I need a little extra added protection. Yeah, he saw him blowing into his hands. I think that one hurt a little bit. Bell down a strike. There goes Larkin, and had a good jump and has got to come back. It looked like Buddy Bell had a pretty good pitch to hit. And Larkin made a picturesque head-first slide. I'll tell you, he's one of those players that normally will be dirty from head to toe. Check this head-first slide out. Pete was talking earlier today about head-first slides and how it is a heck of a lot more difficult to pull off than it appears to. Talking about Sal Butera hurting his shoulder going in head-first at home plate last night. The game is tied. Ron Oster saw to that. He led off this 8th inning with a home run to right. Venable was thrown out trying to bunt. Larkin single to left. And a wild one. And he might be able to go to third. He will not chance it as Greg Brock out over there in a hurry to pick it up. Second wild pitch delivered by a Dodger today.
First by Hershiser on the breaking pitch. This was just a fastball that bangs in on the left side of the catcher, and it bounds away towards that first base side. If Brock's not backing it up, with Larkin's on third base.
Now with a wild pitch, all the Reds need is a single to take the lead. That might be. It is. Reds lead 5-4 on a double by Buddy Bell. Steve, I think you can say without fear of argument, he is starting to swing the bat again.
Boy, is he ever. That triple was well hit. The double here well hit. And Tommy Lasorda, who was on the edge of his seat, just drifted back in the clubhouse, really unhappy with this. He saw the Reds rally from a 5-0 deficit last night and now come back from a 4-1 deficit lead at 5-4.
Dave Parker will try to add some insurance. Close the book on Oral Hershiser. 7 1/3 innings. He allows 7 hits, 5 runs, all earned. Struck out 1, walked 1, and delivered a wild pitch. Glum, shell-shocked, devastated, saddened, sick to death of what he's watching. All adjectives that could be applied to the Dodgers skipper.
And some we can't say.
In the 5th inning in Houston, San Diego leads the Astronomicals 3-0. But the Giants have gone ahead of the Atlanta Braves 2-1, with the Braves batting in the bottom of the 7th. Strike 2. Next up, Eric Davis. Johnny Franco has concluded warm-up pitches in the Reds bullpen, and he will be on in the 9th. Be nice to be able to get Bell in. Not from Parker. And Dave just breaks another bat, something that has become commonplace from him of late.
The average has been winding down. He's in one of those slumps again. Apparently said no more hits in this bat. I'm getting rid of it. And hammers it in 2.
There weren't too many in it before he broke it.
Go get a new one. High heat he has to just lay off of. You're not going to hit that pitch. Dave certainly didn't. Goodbye, Black Beauty.
Now it's Eric Davis with Bell at second. One of the 8 Reds hits belonged to Davis. That was a single back in the 5th inning. And after getting on with a base hit, he stole second, stole third, and then came in to score on a wild pitch. Ball a strike. Reaches on the walk. Tommy talking to himself on the Dodger dugout bench. Hal this season has had more good outings against the Reds than he has had bad. Fortunately, this afternoon is not one of the good ones. And Milner takes ball 1. That ball is hit well.
Lasorda was saying to Oral Hershiser when he yanked Hershiser out of there. Boy, he is really upset. Every time you see one hit, I'm kind of looking over in the Dodgers dugout way to see how Tommy's reacting, and each time he's been on the edge of his seat, and each time he has moved back and just crossed his arms over his chest, and you can, well, tell the disappointment from the Dodgers boss, Tommy Lasorda. And here comes Ed Vandenberg. You know, it seems like every time Eddie Milner hits one, boy, it's almost a no-doubter. High, arcing drives that let you know that he got all of it. Hits the facing of the lower deck there in right center field, some 400 feet away from home plate, and Eddie Milner with number 13, a 3-run home run, and the Reds have come back from a 4-1 deficit.
Well, there's been all kinds of speculation in recent weeks about the future of Eddie Milner and where he might be in 1987 if his fate is to be somewhere else in Major League Baseball. He is making a very, very strong case for himself at the moment. He came into this game with a very hot bat, and while that is his first hit today, it is a monumental one. The Reds lead by 4, and the new pitcher on the mound, lefty Ed Vandenberg.
And for Ed, you see his totals: 1 and 5, 3.84 earned run average, and Vandenberg, this is appearance number 54. He's usually brought on just to face left-handers, but with the way Howell's going on, they're bringing him on to face anybody. Here comes Nick Esaski up to the plate, and Vandenberg will work with Nick to lead things, complete things here in the 8th.
First time up for Nick. He replaced Tony Perez at first. Dodger bullpen betraying him again. Ball 2 and a strike. Here's the line on Howell, a third of an inning. He allows 3 runs earned, 2 hits, a walk, a strikeout. Strike 2. And if you're looking to the top half of the 9th inning, the Dodgers have scheduled to bat Ralph Bryant, Greg Brock, and Mike Scioscia. Full count. As it stands, Scott Terry would pick up his first big league victory. And that will drop for a hit and for extra bases. Double out of the wrong barrel by Nick Esaski, his 17th 2-base hit.
Just going with it down the line and long way from Ralph Bryant, so an easy double for Esaski. Reds continue here in the 8th. Number 9 man to hit coming up to the plate, and Dave Van Gorder.
After collecting only 2 hits in the first 5 innings and 4 hits in the first 6, the Reds now feature a game total of 8. Or a game total of 10, I should say. 8 runs, 10 hits to the Dodgers, 4 runs, 11 hits. Van Gorder has bounced out, struck out, and grounded into a double play. Two 2-0. This game very, very similar to last night's game, although the Reds were not forced to come from behind from as far away today as they were last night. Nevertheless, they fell behind early 3-0, and it would appear that they're going to win it walking away from the Dodgers. Shallow center. Reggie Williams has it to end the inning, but the Reds score 5 times on 5 hits. A man left, and at the end of 8, 8-4, Cincinnati.
Four, 8-4 as we enter the 9th, and a new pitcher for the Reds, and that's John Franco. He was a damaged man Friday night, giving up many of the Reds runs that erased a 7-4 Red lead, and Cincinnati went on to lose to the Dodgers 9-7, so a payback for John Franco.
Well, looks like Billy Russell leading off the 9th inning as a pinch hitter for Ralph Bryant. Franco trying to erase the memory of an abysmal outing here on Friday night when the Dodgers rocked him for 6 hits and 5 runs and only an inning and a third. Ball 2 and a strike. But he could not quite get it up in time, and Russell begins the 9th inning with a base hit.
John just stays there with a fastball, and it's rocketed over the head of Buddy Bell.
Tommy Lasorda now running a string of pinch hitters out there. First Russell, now Cabell batting for Brock, and Trevino in a moment will hit for Scioscia. There's a former Cincinnati Red. Hit the Reds 12-10. But for the second straight game against this LA ball club, the Reds have gotten solid middle and late inning relief. Joe Price did a good job despite giving up a run. Terry with 2 scoreless innings. Larkin got the force. Nice play by Barry Larkin. And they failed to double up the runner Cabell at first.
To have a little bit of difficulty getting that ball out of his glove, but when he did, he got it to second base right now. Barry almost kind of double clutches, throws a rock right to Ron Oster.
Steve, I got to be honest about something. I don't know that in the years I've been with this club, I have seen a more impressive rookie than Barry Larkin.
And he's done it so easily. I mean, his demeanor, the way he's come up from the minor leagues and adjusted mentally so well, the confidence.
You know, people will say, well, what about Eric Davis? Well, you know, Eric struggled. In fact, he was sent back to Denver last year, got off poorly this year, although this not his rookie year. But in terms of a kid coming out of the farm system and immediately making a positive and consistent impact, Barry Larkin is head and shoulders above any rookie I've seen come up here in 13 years.
Almost seems like he's about 28 and a 4-year veteran.
You're right. Now, Johnny Franco having some problems. He's behind now to Trevino 3-0, and hey, with a 4-run lead and you need 3 outs, you certainly don't try to get cute. Just throw strikes and get it done. There's a fastball for a strike.
And because of that, the Reds bullpen will get a little busy. Ron Robinson jogging out there now.
1 out, 1 on. Pick it, buddy. That's 1, and that's all. Cabell doing his job. He made Buddy Bell go airborne, or rather Ron Oster, to eliminate whatever chance the Reds might have had for getting a double play.
Bell gets rid of it, and quickly, but Cabell's taken out Oster immediately, and Ron saying, I'm going to hold on to this one and do a little leapfrog.
Wise decision. So LA comes down to its final out, and Billy Madlock will now pinch hit for Franklin Stubbs. The regular at third base for the Dodgers and having a good year. The attendance this afternoon, 38,747. 38,747. assure themselves of no worse than a second-place tie with the Giants, the team they would occupy that spot with, coming in tomorrow night. And this one belongs to the Reds. The strikeout of Billy Matlock wraps it up. And for the second game in a row, the Reds rally, coming from a 3-run deficit today to hang a loss on the LA Dodgers in the rubber match of this series. The final score, Reds 8, Dodgers 4. We'll be back in a moment. Well, 38,700 and change go home happy this afternoon on this special day at Riverfront Stadium as the Reds on Tony Perez Day rally with 5 big runs in the bottom half of the 8th inning and go on and hand the Dodgers an 8-4 loss in the rubber match of the series. Tony, of course, did not hit the home run that everybody hoped he would. He did have a base hit late in the game before being lifted by a pinch hitter. Of course, his day was featured before the first pitch with that great on-field ceremony. The Reds, as they did last night, came back from an early deficit. It was 3-0. They came back to tie it in the 8th on a leadoff home run at 4 by Ron Oster. And this Old Spice play of the game, Buddy Bell facing new pitcher Ken Howell with Barry Larkin aboard, and Bell launches one into the outermost reaches of deep left center field. That is all it took, that ball skipping through the outfielders, for the speedy Larkin to come around with a run that broke the tie, giving the Reds a 5-4 lead. And of course, Eddie Milner added insult to injury with a 3-run home run later on. But Buddy Bell's double to break the tie, our Old Spice play of the game today. Steve, a good ball game and a good afternoon.
Sure was, and as a matter of fact, a win in almost typical Tony Perez fashion. I think Pete Rose said the other day, I don't think Tony Perez ever came to the ballpark thinking Tony Perez. He was thinking the team, and this indeed was a team comeback victory.
We enjoyed it. We hope you did, as the Reds come up with a big come-from-behind victory over the LA Dodgers. Once again, the final score, the Reds 8 and the Dodgers 4. For Joe Nuxall and Steve Physioc, this is Marty Brennaman saying so long, everybody. Today's game has been brought to you by your Toyota dealer in the Toyota Celica. Performance and style. Who could ask for anything more? And by Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by your best quality Ford dealers who are offering 2.9% APR financing or $1,000 cash back.
Join us for our next telecast of Cincinnati Reds baseball, Saturday, September 27th at 10 p.m. when the Reds meet the Padres at San Diego.